Think in my style, write it down, make it worthwhile, figure it out, cause right now it's just your smile
that's taking me out. I'm stuck in when you're not around.
At the top of my list, said you, I'm thinking about a kiss. I'll be there anytime, you just tell me your wish.
I got your back no matter what, we're gonna last, cause you're
hashtag just what I like no shoes that fit just right, even though your best day is nothing like you.
I can be your boyfriend, I'll be there until the world ends. We can stay right smack dab in the middle, figure it out little by little. We're already best friends, cause you and I just make sense. All you gotta do is give me the signal, nothing to lose, let's make it official. Tell me like your boyfriend, and also be my best friend. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la. Boyfriend, boyfriend, best friend, best friend.
You and I were better combined. Tell me why do we gotta define what this thing is and where we are going? Why can't we have it all and just live in the moment?
I don't see a limit to my future, cause you're in it, they say. Truth hurts, but right now it feels so good, cause I finally understood. I don't see a limit to my future, cause you're in it, they say. Truth hurts, but right now it feels so good, cause I finally understood. Hashtag just what I like an old song that hits just right, even and the sunshine, nothing's as bright as you. Yeah. I can be your boyfriend, I'll be there until the world ends. We can sit right smack dab in the middle, figure it out little by little. We're already best friends, cause you and I just make sense. All you gotta do is give me the signal, nothing to lose, let's make it official. Tag me like your boyfriend, and also be my best friend. Na 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 na. Boyfriend, boyfriend, best friend, best friend. Na 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 na. Boyfriend, boyfriend, best friend, best friend. Boyfriend, boyfriend, best friend, best friend. Boyfriend, boyfriend.
Incoming transmission.
I think we caught that throw clear. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to day 2 of the GSL. It was amazing, day 1. We're excited to be back. We have 3 Koreans and 1 Canadian down here duking it out. How you doing, State?
Man, I'm excited. It's been pretty fun. Yesterday, first time casting GSL in what feels like almost a year. We got to see Rainer advance to the round of 8, and now in the second group stage of the round of 12, we have Trigger, a Canadian, making his GSL debut. We might have a world where we have 2 foreigners in the round of 8. It's very exciting.
I welcome this. I'm really excited to have Trigger down here. Trigger actually played in my little Battle Aces tournament that I did on stream. He won it. He's an excellent player. He's here now in StarCraft 2. He's been playing for a really long time, like everybody has who's been playing StarCraft, but he's finally now at GSL level.
Yeah, Trigger's one of these guys that's just been quietly getting better for years and years and years, and I think he's been living in Korea, I want to say like maybe almost a year now. I don't remember exactly what he did.
I think about a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the training is really starting to play off because like he's participating in these online tournaments and he's knocking out some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
He played well with GSL qualifiers to make it all the way to the round of 12. And I was talking to him before the when we showed up to the studio today. And he's actually feeling pretty confident. So
it's going to be interesting. You know, GSL's been around for like 16 years now, and you know, we've had different eras of StarCraft, obviously with the different expansions, but just different players that, you know, came up to the top, some fell out, and some are still here with us now. But I really welcome someone like Trigger coming in here and you know, being a great new addition here to our tournament.
Yeah, it's rare to get a new face.
I remember when
GSL.
Zhao came. I think about Zhao, and I'm like, we got a new one.
Yeah.
This is crazy. It's like a new kid at school.
Yeah, Nightmare's another one of those guys who, I mean, he's been around for years now, but he was
No,
also
but
one of these players that just slowly and incrementally got better. And
yeah, and
it's
you
fun.
know, this happens, especially when a game's old, where it tends to be a lot of the same people kind of staying at the top. So it's really exciting when you see somebody like Trigger come in here. And I think you're right. He seemed pretty calm, seemed pretty collected.
Yeah.
So let's see how he does. Now, this group is actually pretty tough. I mean, with Maru here, you're almost guaranteed to have him get out of a group. You're almost guaranteed to have him win a tournament. You know, there's very few players that are like that. But we do advance 2 players.
Yeah, round of 12 is going to be finishing today here with Group B, as 2 players will advance into the round of 8 to join everybody else next week as we close out the GSL. And make sure, if you want to go to the round of 8 and the finals, that tomorrow you use this on-site viewing guide and get your tickets. The tickets do go on sale tomorrow. The finals absolutely will sell out. Make sure you get it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. We want to see you guys here. GSL is still around, but it's very short now. So, you know, you don't have that many days that you can come down here and do it. Season 2 is just around the corner. By the way, we are community funded now. This is the nature of StarCraft 2. Consider supporting the GSL.
Yeah, you got a lot of cool perks. I know I was talking about it yesterday too. The Patreon, $10 a month gets you the GSL replay package, which is a pretty cool perk if you ask me. I would have paid a lot more than that back when I was trying to become, you know,
that
a
is
high-level
right
pro gamer back then. My goodness, getting hero replays, rogue replays, Maru replays.
Right.
It's just wonderful. And if you want to support, in my opinion, the best esport of all time.
Yeah. So
no better way to do it.
Scan that QR code. I'm just happy to have GSL back here. You know, I've been coming to this studio, and the smaller studio we had before the show really took off. It's good to be back here casting these games, even if it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I'm a little sad that the season is only going to be 5 days for Season 1 and Season 2, but just there was such a long downtime between EWC and then the circuit basically getting announced again.
Right.
For 2025, we're going to have 2 or 3 months of crazy StarCraft. Everything is getting packed into this little condensed package.
Right, yeah, we kind of marathon through this.
Yeah, it's going to be a speed run here as we look at how the groups are lining up. So from Group A, we had Kira and Rainer advance into the round of 8. Kira's going to be joining Byun and Hero in Group A of the round of 8, and Rainer will be joining Classic and Gumiho in Group B. That is all happening next week on the 14th and on the 15th, and 2 of these players, of course, will be joining them. Trigger making his GSL debut, and then a lot of OGs. Maru and Rogue, who have been around in StarCraft 2 forever. Nightmare, who has been a GSL staple for it, or Nightmare, who's been a GSL staple for it, feels like whatever. This is 9th Code S.
It's crazy, the 36th Code S. We've done so many of these.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
8 first place finishes, 1 Super Tournament victory.
It's crazy seeing Trigger here for the first time, and then you think Maru's done this 36 times, and then you think, how many times have I done this? Oh my God.
Yeah. There were a lot of GSL days, especially in the early days. You and Dan were just...
It was a little crazy. It was hard to even play StarCraft 2 because we were casting so much.
You guys were stuck in the caster mines.
It was like, yeah. No, it's funny because, like, you know, the beta, when it came out, it's like everybody was on and people were hooked, and it was huge. But then, yeah, when the esports stuff hit, I mean, it got so big I couldn't even believe it. But, yeah, we were super busy. We had to get a whole bunch of other casters out now. We're going to go to an interview now, and then we'll be starting our matches.
바이탈리티 소속 조성주입니다.
My name is Yoon Hong. I don't know. I'm a player for Basilisk. I play Protoss, and I'm excited to play my first GSL.
팔콘 팀 소속의 저그 유저 이병렬입니다.
안녕하세요. 스트리머존 프로토스 장욱입니다.
게임을 안 하다가 GSL 일정 뜨고 연습 열심히 했던 것 같아요.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've always wanted to play GSL, and I didn't know if there would be another one, so I'm very lucky to be able to play it.
솔직히 제가 밖에 나가는 걸 안 좋아해서 컴퓨터를 많이 했는데 체력을 기르면서 이제 준비하고 있었습니다.
런칭도 하고 스타트도 이제 하고 있어가지고 오랜만에 GSL에서 뵙게 돼서 좋습니다.
저는 안 괜찮은 것 같아요. 모든 선수가 다 그렇게 생각할 것 같아서 이게 원래 나이를 먹으면은 컨트롤이 잘 안 돼가지고 저그전이 힘들어요. 성주 토스나 클램 토스의 퍼포먼스만 봐도 구종인데 그 정도 하는 게 말이 안 된다고 생각하고 저는 지금 저프전이 좀 많이 밸런스가 많이 힘들다고 생각을 하고
No, I think Terran needs a buff against Protoss, a little, just small buff and design changes to Zerg. Like it's very boring for Zerg to play Protoss. That's the bigger issue in my opinion.
좋을 수 있다고 생각을 하는데 이게 비시즌에 다른 선수들이 좀 게을러진 게 아닌가 싶어서
저는 너무 만족해요. 조교가 없다는 게 만족하고 일단 성주를 아예 못 이길 정도는 아니라고 생각을 해가지고 우기는 솔직히 제가 그냥 이길 것 같고 솔직히 연습만 한다면 트리거 선수는 이길 수 있을 거라 생각합니다.
scared of Maru, even though he's obviously one of the best Terrans. I feel like he's not in strongest form, and I would rather play Rogue over Raynor, and I don't think Nightmare is as good as like Cure. I mean, I feel confident against Nightmare, so yeah, I mean, I don't have any complaints.
대진 물어봤는데 제가 자꾸 재밌다고만 하는 거예요. 저는 유진이 형도 있는 줄 알았어요. 그냥 무난한 것 같은데.
근데 이 정도면 이길 수 있다고 생각은 들어요. 그래서 네, 괜찮은 것 같습니다.
그럼요. 토스는 다 괜찮죠. 팬분들 찾아뵙는 것만으로도 좋은 것 같아요. 그래서 연습 더 열심히 해가지고 9회 우승 또 했습니다. 화이팅!
I just want to focus on just playing my best. So I mean, if I had to guess something, I would just say like top 12 or something would be good. Fighting.
이제 1년 전에 올라갔을 때는 경기력이 아쉬웠는데 그때는 이제 따라잡는 입장이었다 보면 지금은 동등한 선에서 앞서간다고 생각을 하기 때문에 다른 경기력을 보여드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 화이팅!
뭐 아마 이번 시즌이 저한테 좀 마지막이 될 가능성이 높아가지고 좀 더 이제 제 영혼을 불살라서 해보겠습니다. 화이팅!
All right. Some things never change.
Yeah, Maru consistently unimpressive. This is one of them.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to be starting this off with Maru. He has won more GSLs than anybody. One of the most decorated players of all time. Some would say he's the GOAT.
Yeah, some would.
Some would.
Some would also say Rogue is the
Some
GOAT.
have even said Rogue is the GOAT.
I think Maru versus Trigger is going to be a really fun match. Now, for Maru, I'm a little bit concerned is the wrong word, but I'm curious at where he is at, because in his interview he said that he wasn't practicing too much before the GSL, circuit got announced again for 2025, which I think is not really unique to Maru in particular. I think a lot of pro gamers kind of just took the break of the off season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ambiguity about the future of StarCraft 2, and then once finally the schedule was announced, everyone really ramped up the practice again. But it sounds like, from what I've heard online, Maru is playing through a lot of injury. He's having some pain. It's been harder for him to practice. He's skipping tournaments to focus primarily on GSL, on the road to EWC. And we've even seen it in some of his GSL qualifier matches against Classic, for instance, who's doing a lot of 2-base all-ins. He's been losing some TVTs, which usually skew a little bit more towards the macro game. And so I was also talking with Trigger, and he said, yeah, I think Maru is probably going to be playing a little bit more of an aggressive, cheesy playstyle, whether it be the practice or whether it be him fighting through an injury. It might not be the Maru of previous years in terms of form that we're going to be seeing here today. And so I feel like Group B, going up against Trigger, going against Rogue and Nightmare, will be a very good litmus test for exactly where he is going to be at in this GSL.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a trial by fire, right? Maru is literally the scariest player in GSL history. Yeah, undeniably. Trigger thinks he can do it. I mean, this is a lot. I don't think any player in GSL history has had more of a, how do I say this? A bigger challenge on the first day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, we're really breaking you in here. Guys, we're going to go to map 1 of this best of 3. Let's do this. All right, in the top right is Maru, and the bottom left is Trigger. Yeah, I mean, look, this is like, it's a really, really tough challenge to show up at a GSL and perform well on the first day. Trigger obviously has a lot of tournament experience. He's a very good player, but GSL is kind of its own beast, you know? So we'll see how he performs here. He is going against the best player of all time in GSL as well. So if he can play well, if he can look good, it's going to be very promising. And who knows, maybe we have a crazy upset today, and he actually manages to defeat Maru.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to watch, honestly. I'm as big a Maru fan as basically anybody. Been watching this guy since the early days of GSL. But for Trigger coming in against the GSL GOAT in his very first GSL match, when you think about the nerves of playing in a tournament with as long as history as GSL, the longest running esports show in the world.
Yeah.
A show that I'm sure Trigger, when he was, even younger than he is now, growing up, watching
this
StarCraft
show is almost
2
as old as he is.
and playing StarCraft
Yeah.
2, to now finally be on the GSL stage and to be going up against the greatest GSL player of all time. Even for someone who is, at this stage, an esports veteran in Trigger, you got to think that nerves might factor in at least a little bit here.
Sure. It's got to be weird. You remember a long time ago we did that Tasteless LAN for StarCraft 1. We produced that, and I remember I got to play against Scarlet, and it just like me, having like the role reversed where I'm not casting and I just go, because like I play all the time, right? But I'm playing on stream normally, right? That's been my, but to go and sit down and like sit in the actual setting, and then you see the camera on your face, and when you make a mistake, you're like, oh, they're gonna have fun with that one.
Yeah, that was so funny, by the way. I
yeah.
remember Scarlett was talking about how after she played you, because the booth you guys were in were soundproofed, but she could still hear you like every time you messed up.
Oh yeah, because I talked.
Oh crap!
I talked to myself. I was like, I remember we got in the match. We got in the booth, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just do what we normally do. I'm like talking to myself.
She can hear
I'm like,
everything
this is
you're
just.
saying.
I'm like, this is just a game, and then I start to hear her laughing, and I'm like, oh, she can hear me. I want to kill myself.
I was casting that, and we could see you guys on camera, and I was just seeing Sasha laugh, and I'm like, what is going on in there? Yeah, it is
so
a very
funny.
different feel to be in the booth in a tournament. Oh, Trigger actually going all the way to main base. He got sneaky in here where the Adept didn't get to snipe down that first SCV as Maru's going to put in the gas. I'd love to see Trigger get one, maybe even two of these if he's able to rotate down the left side, but some nice scouting information. Ooh, man, Maru a little bit shaky here with the early game defense.
Yeah, this Adept already in here causing a problem. I don't think this is going to amount to too much.
Okay. A lot of juking and jiving happened with this Adept. I feel like it's rare that we see any Protoss player get Adept in the base of Maru like this and effectively get a full scout and an SCV kill.
It's pretty unheard of, man. A little bit of micromanaging there on the medevac. I think we're going to have a drop inbound here shortly. 2 gateways actually at the natural. That's kind of a funny spot to put that. I don't think we've ever really had that before. So yeah, let's see how he does. We should point out too, Maru's been having some issues with his wrist. It does seem like stutter step micro Marines specifically is bad for your wrist.
Yeah, Terran's just a harder race, man. they're always the injured ones. It's never the Protoss players getting injured. All right, this drop now coming in. Trigger going for a really fast third base. Those 2 gateways of the natural expansion are just now finishing up, so there should be a couple more Stalkers warping in here shortly. I don't know if Maru's going to have enough DPS to get the cancel on the Nexus. Indeed, he does. That will fall, even the probe going down, so at least another 30-second delay on that expansion,
yeah,
and Maru's going to be happy with that.
That's actually pretty big. It's really important that you get the third base up right away.
Oh, it's a Gator and a Robo with the natural, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was double gateway for some reason. Okay.
No, I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so he's got kind of a forward position here. I'm curious. He just sent 2 SCVs, which tells me he's probably going to do something pretty quick. Oh, I see. He's going to repair this. I don't feel like we ever see people do that.
I think that Maru is most likely going to be going for a lot of siege tank pushes on 2 bases in this game.
I think he's going to be maybe bunkering and trying to put pressure on here. Now, Trigger took a big shot there on that Stalker. No shield, some hull damage. And I think Maru basically wants to end this game right away.
Yeah, this is going to be a very difficult push for Trigger to stop, even with Blink, because it's only 6 Stalkers, and the firepower of this Terran army is very large. This is a tough position. Even the siege tank basically getting almost a melee range of that Nexus. It is right up here in the front. I'm not sure if these shield batteries are going to be able to finish. You see Trigger right now maneuvering to the center of the map. He's trying to catch reinforcements, section off this Terran army so that when he warps in some more guys. Oh, wait, no, he's actually going for the siege tanks.
Ooh, that was sick.
Whoa, Trigger.
That was wild. He takes out 2 tanks, but, I mean, that was a lot of hits on those Stalkers. The Banshee's going to run away.
It was a nice move by Trigger, but I feel like the unit production just isn't quite there yet. Colossus just started there at the Robo, but keep in mind, that is at the natural expansion. It's a very vulnerable position, and oh no, flicking into the reinforcing Marine and Siege Tank as well is going to lead to more Stalkers going down. No shield batteries here at the natural, and Maru already in range of the pylon powering the Robo, powering the gateway. Oh, this is a deadly push.
GG. Nasty push by Maru. Quick execution. Yeah, you were talking about this before we went live, State, but that Maru is, with a wrist injury, you're kind of, it's a little bit better to try to do quick all-ins, quick kills, and it totally worked there on Trigger. Trigger sort of shut down before he's really able to show us what he's got, right? He was basically in development when that attack came out there from Maru. Great control, by the way, from Maru. Microing the tank, forcing a lot of shots. We even saw the SCVs taking a little bit of damage and then being healed. Basically, nothing that Trigger could do to get even 5% extra damage before the push actually hit was able to work. Good juggling with the medevac and everything. We're gonna go to Ultra Love, which is how I feel right now.
It is good to be
GSL.
back.
Good to have all you back, all you guys back, viewers.
Yeah. Be back in the studio, having an audience, casting GSL again. It just feels so good. I felt like a part of my life was missing with just the void that we have had in StarCraft 2.
I like this job because I get to work hard, but then I have a lot of time off. You know what I mean? Where I could stream or just do whatever. But it was a little bit too long. I was like, am I still allowed to call myself a caster?
Yeah.
Can we actually get something going here? 11 months. We're finally back here. So yeah, we're going to go to Ultra Love now. This is a best of 3. Right now, Maru up with a 1-0 lead. Okay, we've got Maru here in the top right, Trigger here in the bottom left.
Big siege tank push from Maru in game number 1. And I feel like for Trigger, with the build order setup that he went for, going 2 gateways with the Twilight Council with a really fast Robo Bay for Colossus and a 3rd base, you don't really have a lot of tools in your arsenal to stop a siege tank push that moves across the map that quickly.
Right.
Even if Trigger had perfect control with those Stalkers, I don't know if he's still able to defend. It was just not really a good build order setup for him against what Maru was doing. And this has really been Maru's MO, I think, at least since the GSL qualifiers, potentially because of his injury. Maybe it's the patch, maybe it's just the playstyle he's finding the most success with for meta reasons.
Right.
But he's been doing, in TVP, a lot of gas first openings, a lot of double gas openings, a lot of things that culminate in a timing push with siege tanks, sometimes with an SCV pull, sometimes without an SCV pull. And I feel like if you're Trigger here, you need to do something a little bit more to shake up the defense.
Someone's
on Maru.
written a short story.
Yeah, I was going to say
this.
Good luck to the Korean casters
well,
trying to. But I'm concerned for Trigger because Ultra Love's another one of these maps where siege tank pushes can be very dangerous. You have that natural expansion where right at the base of the ramp, Terran can park their siege tanks. They can come in with Banshees, they can come in with Liberators, hold that position and basically section you off from your 3rd base and really cause a lot of positional trouble for the Protoss. And so I'm hoping that Trigger coming here into game number 2 goes for something maybe a little bit less greedy on the tech side, because I don't think Maru is going to let his foot off the pedal at all in terms of aggression. I really think we're going to see another push very similar to what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, State. I think we're going to have some kind of aggression here. But there's an easy solution for that, right? I mean, you just kind of power out a couple more units and play a little bit more conservatively, and usually you can hold this. I mean, there's a reason why 2-base aggression isn't the only thing people do, right? Because a good, solid macro player that just knows how to not be too greedy can hold that. So if that's what we're going to get, that's exactly what Trigger has to play like in order to survive into the phase of the game where he's going to have his strategy activate.
Little dance here with the Reaper and the Adept is Trigger. One for the Twilight Council. Now last game, he did add in the robotics facility and a 2nd gateway at the natural expansion before taking that 3rd base. We'll see if he changes things up at all here. I'm so curious at where he's going to take this.
So for now, we're going to wait and see if that 2-base type of push is going to come. Trigger's basically doing the same thing as previously. Getting the Stalkers out, getting Blink. And this is pretty standard PvT nowadays, is to just sort of play defensively and try to tech up. And definitely be wary of Widowmine drops or anything like that that could screw the game up for you. Maru's going to push out here with the Cyclone because I guess why not, right? And he's going to get a kill on that Adept, so that's going to make Trigger a little bit more squishy back at home if that push does come.
Yeah, it's big Cloak Banshee's actually coming in here from Maru, and unfortunately for Trigger, we were talking about him potentially shaking things up here in game number 2, and he is. He's not going for the Robo Facility, he's going for a third gateway instead. Now I'm concerned he might not have detection for this Banshee.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, State. So the Robo is going to come. It's going to be a little bit late. But, you know, it's not just you have observers. They got to be where the Banshee comes in. And we all know a Banshee can kill probes really quickly. Just two-shots them. So he could end up killing a lot of workers in the process here.
Yeah, a little bit more of a conservative opening here from Trigger and Maru. Of course, taking things up here with the Cloak Banshee. And Siege Tank production not stopping. So I feel like this is probably just going to be another pathway for Maru to go towards maybe the same kind of aggressive approach, although Trigger, he has been a lot more conservative thus far. The third base coming in significantly later than it was in game number 1. This is a much less greedy build from our Canadian Protoss player. And I know from speaking with Trigger before the matches began today that he does have this on his radar, that Maru's going to be playing really aggressive, and I think that's kind of what he's fishing for here with the Stalkers, to try and intercept some of these units, but unfortunately, like 2 ships passing in the night.
That's insane.
Oh no, and the Banshee coming into the main base, so... Oh, Trigger caught out of position here in the main, and Maru... Okay, recall came in. Does he know that there's a siege tank push coming into the third base? I think he suspects it.
It might just look like there's that Cyclone coming, but yeah, the push is coming up here. The tank's here. This is a lot of Stalkers. He one-shots the Cyclone. He takes out the tank. He'll get the... Oh, does not get the Banshee.
Yeah, the Cloak cancels the shot there on the Stalkers. Still a lot of Marines alive. Blink on cooldown right now for a couple more seconds. This Banshee just wailing on the Stalkers, getting a ton of damage done. No Banshee detection here on the front line.
He's chrono boosting out an Observer. The Cloak does dissipate. He runs out of energy there. I think that was actually shot down. But the Nexus is canceled. And again, it's kind of the same story that we had in the previous game. The Banshee is going ham on the probes. Even as the Marines are cleaned up, the probe count continues to drop. It's down to 8 now.
Ooh, so many workers going down here. Eventually, the Banshee will get cleaned up, but the third base is canceled, and Trigger right now at a 10-worker deficit here against Maru. I mean, that was not really the engagement I think Maru was gunning for there at the third base, with the Stalkers just getting the pounce on that siege tank straight away. But he still had so much firepower, the Marines on the ground, and those Cloak Banshees did so much work because the initial Observer went to the main base of Trigger to stop that harassment. He had nothing on the front line to stop the DPS of that Banshee, and the Stalkers just took such a beating. And Maru behind this, he's powering up with 3 additional barracks. One of them just finished. He's continuing to upgrade. Trigger's going to try and expand and get +1 of his own. But this is a stage in the game where as Protoss, you really want to have a significant economic lead over your Terran counterpart. That is kind of the way that the meta is supposed to play here as Protoss. And so for Trigger, I feel like he has to find some way to maybe get value out of these Stalkers, but it is going to be a challenge against Maru, who's buttoned up with these siege tanks.
Sorry, what? Oh, I didn't see the tank. Sorry, I was like, there's nothing here. Yeah, you know, the Banshees are going to be such a nuisance. He can actually unpower a lot of these gates with this. Oh my god. I mean, right now, there's been really no damage to Maru at all. You know, it's crazy to think that this is a 3-base Protoss, but Maru is actually ahead by 20 supply. And it's one of these things, like, Maru's so good that he's like, oh, actually, two Stalkers I can just micro against. I can just kill this off. Nice. So this may be the killing blow. I hope not, but I mean, this is looking pretty rough. Maru knows exactly, you know what I love about him? He's so good at the preemptive clicking away of units. Like he looks at this and he goes, oh, you're gonna hit my Raven next. So I'm already gonna start to pull that back so you'll never kill that. And every time as Maru's army advances, like more damage is done.
I feel like his micro at times isn't as flashy as, say, a player like Byun, but he is just so smart at predicting what his opponent is going to do that he always finds himself in good positions. And now it's Stim coming through. Maru looking to siege up the third base again. Trigger looking for a concave right now. Zealots coming on the left side. Oh, the Stalkers and the Zealots with a great flank there on the right. Every siege tank just wiped off the board right now. Trigger with a fantastic fight to start things out. Gonna have to retreat once those auto turrets get dropped. But man, that was basically a dream engagement for Trigger taking every siege tank out before they could, you know, get in range of that third base.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty sick.
That was so well done.
It was the first big victory the Triggers had. No tanks in that army. There might be more that have been sent down. Oh, I guess not. I don't think that Maru can win this fight. This looks just a little bit too small. Am I wrong?
I feel like a lot of the firepower of Maru's army was just kind of hinged on having those siege tanks, and Trigger just pulled the rug out from under him. Some really nice control. The Stalker's blinking away.
Maybe he actually can break this. The medevacs are very low on energy, so there's not going to be a lot more heals left. It actually might be worth it for him to regroup and wait for these reinforcements. The Colossus is a big factor here as well.
Yeah, Colossus is going to have a lot of firepower here for Trigger. I don't think Thermal Lance is done quite yet. No, Thermal Lance, not even being researched as Trigger basically all hands on deck, and oh man!
The boys have been pulled.
All right, that Colossus is going to have to really put some work in against these SCVs. Force field drops, actually a very good one, creating a bottleneck here. Maru's going to have to skirt his way around that. More Zealot being warped in by Trigger. Does have energy for Guardian Shield, instead opting for another force field, just trying to buy time because he knows with those SCV pulls, his income is better. He's trying to muster as many forces as he can to hold on. Another force field gets dropped, continuing to narrow this choke. Stalker is blinking down the left side, trying to focus down some of these medevacs. Actually, Maru pushing forward. Does he have enough?
I think that Maru might actually have enough here. It looks like there's just barely enough. The Colossus gets sniped. The Stalkers alone are probably not going to cut it. And I got to say, this was a razor-thin edge that Maru had once he sent those SCVs in here, but I think this is going to be the tipping point. Trigger cannot hang on anymore. The third base is going to fall. In fact, Maru could probably stutter step micro this all the way into the natural and just kill the source of the Colossus.
Yeah, man, Maru just steamrolling through that third base.
Now keep in mind, it's 26 workers to 36. So like, Trigger doesn't have to leave just yet. I'm just worried he can't hang on much longer. Like this Colossus, I think even with the battery, it can't do anything.
There just isn't enough production here for Trigger anymore. He's got a lot of gas in the bank, no minerals. GG, Maru taking the 2-0 win. I want to give props to Trigger though. He lost a lot of probes very early on in that game. He was down like 10 workers, 12 workers. At some stage, his third base got canceled, and he almost made the miracle defense happen there in the third base. That was very impressive against a player of the caliber of Maru, but Maru just with that killer instinct coming in. Game number 1, game number 2, 2 siege tank pushes, 2 victories in very quick fashion, and he's going to be moving on to the winner's match.
Yeah. Trigger looks like he's reviewing the replay of that last game. Trigger, by the way, pretty chill guy. Like, I don't think he's going to be too flustered by that last loss. I've seen players a lot more nervous. Maru looking stoic. Look, man, it's Maru. He's probably going to get out first in this group. He's probably going to win this season at GSL. Guys, we'll be right back. Rogue vs. Nightmare coming up next.
My man's been working so hard lately. Wants to give me so much more than I could ever dream. But just to hold him close is such a luxury. I have his heart and that's enough for me. His words, they're honest, his hands steady. Never had someone who loved me oh so tenderly. Now when I think of him, I see my family. I have his heart and that's enough
Hey everybody, welcome back. Man, that was so short. I almost feel like I'm not even warmed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I always feel like I kind of get in my flow. I don't know, maybe a little bit into the cast, but man, I feel like we've still just started. So look, Maru defeats Trigger. Not too shocking, really. Maru's probably going to defeat everybody in this tournament and win it, unless we have a crazy upset. But let's not give up on Trigger. Let's not sleep on him. I think there's a world where Trigger can still get out of this group. Up next is Rogue, going up against Nightmare. I'm really curious where exactly Rogue's at right now. I mean, the reality is we had, like, it's been 11 months since we had a GSL. EWC was last year in August. So, like, you know, we just haven't had the same amount of competitive StarCraft. So, you know, normally I'll look at either other GSLs or other recent major, you know, tournaments and try to gauge where he's at. I don't know where he's at right now.
I feel like that's the case for basically everybody.
Yeah.
It's just, for a long time, I've always felt like I had a very good read on the relative power level of players.
Right.
Just watching all these major tournaments and seeing their results and following their games. But yeah, we've been in a little bit of a dark age over the past 8-9 months.
Right.
And in the interview, Rogue said that he was feeling confident, especially against Nightmare. It seemed like he really thinks he's going to take it. But Nightmare was mentioning in that same interview that he didn't really let up on the practice. During that dark age, he was still grinding. He thinks a lot of the other people have been slouching. And so for somebody like Nightmare, who is just a staple for round of 16 GSL going back forever, basically. It's been, what, 9 seasons I think he's been in GSL. This might be his opportunity to have really a breakout season. If he has been grinding nonstop, I am so interested in seeing what he's going to bring to the table here against Rogue, against Maru. He has a very good shot at making it to the round of 8.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. If I had to predict this group, I would say that, like, okay, Rogue advances here, Maru beats Rogue, and then after that, I'm really not sure who's going to take it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm really guessing. So let's see if I'm wrong, guys. Second best of 3, ready to go. Let's do this. All right, guys. Rogue in the top right, Nightmare in the bottom left. We're still trying to unpack the current state of PvZ here.
Yeah.
You know, what we saw SOS do, I don't think has anything to do with what, you know, this is actually going to look like, right? So I'm much more interested in, like, the way that, you know, Rogue or Nightmare would approach this.
Yeah, the energy rechargeability being added in the previous patch has been one of my favorite changes for Protoss in a very long time. Just as somebody who enjoys, you know, playing the ladder, I love having an Oracle and just instantly charging it up. And it just has infinite energy.
I like that artwork.
Yeah, that's nice. Is that a volcano? Is that a hatchery?
I think it's a hatch.
Maybe a lair. It had some spikes.
Yeah.
I think it's teched up.
Maybe it's a spore crawler morphing in. Like.
So good to have an audience here again. But yeah, with SOS's games yesterday, we basically didn't get to see him use the energy rechargeability at all, really. I think he might have used it in some games in the late game for some Templar. But by and large, he was just kind of doing his own thing. He was going for Tempests in PvZ a lot of the time. He was really playing by the beat of his own drum in typical SOS fashion. And so I'm curious how a player like Nightmare, who has typically followed more of the Korean standard meta, especially in a matchup like PvZ, what his approach is going to be here against Rogue. Are we going to see those early oracles? Are we going to have them constantly getting recharged for stasis wards, for mass energy, for revelations? I'm curious at where the game is going to be at, because even talking with Raynor after the GSL games yesterday, he was mentioning that, yeah, the ability is very good in the Nexus, but not every pro has fully embraced it. People are still a little bit stylistic in discerning when they should use this power, because it is costing you like a chrono boost, right? It's 50 energy on the Nexus to charge 100 energy on a unit.
It's kind of like a new resource that you have to figure out how to manage.
Right.
But I'm glad we're making these adjustments in the game.
It's fun.
You know? I mean, I don't know if we can actually do something, how do I say this, anything too crazy, but I would welcome some more, you know, changes in the game just to see. Like, I'm going to throw this idea out here. I don't know why we haven't tinkered with how many workers you start with again.
Oh, you want to do it more? go down
More
to like
or
10,
less.
go to 14?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's something we could try. It would change all the builds and all the openings and make for different early games and mid games. And it's like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I figure this is just like another thing you could do that could, you know, add some variety to the game without doing anything that I think is inherently controversial.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
I like the tempo of StarCraft 2 as a viewer experience right now with 12 workers, but
Sure,
I am
sure.
a little bit nostalgic for the 6-worker start. I felt
Yeah,
it felt better
or like
to
what,
play.
What if you have like 8 or 9 or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, you know, yeah, I don't know. I just want to throw that out there. See what people downvote that on Reddit. It's a terrible idea. That's what I wanted to do.
Well, interestingly here for Nightmare, he's also opening with the Void Ray, similar
Yeah.
to the way that SOS was playing in his game. So no early Oracle. Instead, it's going to be a Twilight Council follow-up behind that Void Ray. Of course, the main advantage of the Void Ray this early on is that you're able to ideally supply block your opponent by sniping these Overlords, but primarily it's about denying scouting. So Rogue a little bit in the dark right now, doesn't know about this third base timing just yet. He's going to be able to sacrifice an Overlord to see perhaps if it's a Twilight Council tech or something else. And it will be a Glaives follow-up here for Nightmare.
So the Void Ray is going to push in. Can't get too much done here. There's always a little bit of a risk when you send the Void Ray out like this, because if there were Lings hidden on the map and they counterattacked and like hit your third, you could get it force canceled. But that's not happening, so this is good for Nightmare. He's going to try to come in here, and it's like, you know, it's a scout. You know, maybe there's like an Overlord you can blast down. We have Glaives, Adept Glaives being upgraded for the time being.
Yeah, 4-gate Glaives, I think.
Yeah.
Tried and true. Classic build. I feel like we've been seeing 4-gate Glaives in GSL for a very long time, and usually it doesn't go very well in the Protoss' favor. But every best of 3, we get it at least once.
Yeah, we get this a lot. We'll see if this could be one of those games where it works out.
Yeah, Rogue right now still playing pretty greedy. About 10 Lings in total on the map, 6 Queens. I think he did only lose 1 Overlord. That Overlord in the bottom right corner never actually did get found by the Void Ray. And actually, even additional gateways coming in here from Nightmare. So I wonder if he's going to transition from this Glaives timing attack into something like a Stalker Sentry push coming up here. Because it feels like he really wants to ramp up the pressure here against his Zerg opponent.
Okay, Void Ray coming in here. The drones are preemptively evacuated, which I actually really like, because if you don't kill any drones, this doesn't do anything. The Shade is going to glide right through here. Oh, not.
I think it's blocked by the Spore Crawler.
Yeah. Dude, this is like a masterclass at stopping Adept.
What an
This is like
defense.
literally the best Adept hold of all time. I can't even believe this.
Huh.
It did
Yeah,
nothing.
it's clean.
It literally did nothing.
Oh, and the best part about this here for Rogue, too, is that he hasn't really made a lot of Lings up until this point.
I've never thought of this. You know when you see somebody do something so new, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's probably like the first time somebody saw a bicycle. And you're like, oh, so you can just have 2 wheels and get around on that? I guess humans can bounce. I'm like looking at this Spore Crawler that basically operates like a
supply depot in like a Terran wall.
What is the door on a fortress called?
The door on a fortress? Like a gate?
The gate or whatever. I don't know. It's like a big fortress gate.
Oh, and the Roaches are going to find the proxy, too. So Rogue knows that there's going to be a follow-up, and the most natural one to this is, of course, going to be Blink Stalkers. And, you know, for Rogue, one thing that's kind of nice for him, although he will lose a couple of Roaches here on the retreat. Oh, this counterattack, too. Great for him. Is there a recall coming in? How much is getting recalled? Is it just going to be the Adepts? Any time that Rogue can buy like this is just money in the bank for him, man. That's going to pay dividends because he is already at 60 workers. That is where he wants to be. He just wants to pump Roaches, get Roach speed done, eventually get +1 range weapons, and anchor the defense with that back at home. But these Lings doing a pretty good job of buying time. But I love the wall in here for Rogue because it means he didn't need to commit to Lings at all for defense.
No.
So Nightmare has a bunch of Glaive Adepts, and he's about to fight someone who's primarily Roach Ravager, which Adepts are just atrocious.
Yeah, they're very bad
Against.
in those kind of fights. So we're going to see probably a maxed out timing push here in an attempt to flatten the third base, maybe even win the game.
Yeah, Nightmare basically needed to abandon ship on that timing attack. He was really gunning up for, 6, 7, 8 gate pressure with Blink and 1 Sentry. But the wind is just completely out of his sails. He's going for a Templar Archive now, trying to get Storm, trying to get some splash damage on the board before Rogue eventually pushes across this map with the Roaches and the Ravagers that he's accumulating back at home. And it's actually Nightmare who's being a little bit more greedy as a result. He's up to 66 workers. Still only 58 drones for Rogue, so there's a lot hinging on this attack coming in from Zerg as he's moving across the map. Stalker's a little bit out of position to the north right now, and Rogue going to be coming in on this third base. Only one sentry, force field drop, and all the Templar are going to fall.
Yeah, this is a lot. The Stalkers at the top are trying to kite this, but the sheer volume of Roaches and Lings and Ravagers, I mean, there's just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You can see the Stalkers retreating back into the corners of the base. Every fight everywhere is basically being lost. I think this could be the beginning of the end. Another warping of Stalkers over here, but I don't think this rush is going to end. I think he's going to be pushing all the way through here. He's going to take out the Nexus, so this base is officially fallen. Is there enough Stalkers to maybe be microed in a way where Nightmare can hang on? I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, maybe he could stop this. I don't know if he can stop any of the reinforcements, though. There is just so much. Oh, and with tunneling claws, too. No detection, tasteless.
Oh, my God.
Oh, there is a cannon, but it's a little bit too late. GG is called, and what a clean game from Rogue.
More and more timing attacks here. All right. What time is it? Started 6:30?
7:18 p.m.
All right, so we've gone through 3 games at a commercial break.
Wow.
In under 50 minutes. Wow.
I told you it's going to be a fast day.
Yeah, you said
I also
that.
didn't expect it to be this fast.
Yeah, this is really quick.
Man, what a beautiful game by Rogue.
Let's once again celebrate that Spore Crawler plug.
That was nice.
That is genius. Because now the Adepts just don't get anything done. Like, that's one of those moments you look at that and you go, oh, I will never do an Adept timing push again.
Yeah, at least not on that map.
Not on that map, yeah.
Not against Rogue.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, how many bases are there where you could just do that? Probably every map you could make a wall in like that with a Spore.
Yeah.
And just, you know, leave it unburrowed, and when it's time to burrow it, you just click it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when we learned about Adept shades blocking other shades.
Ah, yeah.
It's like nobody knew about it, and then one day I'm casting. I think it was at SPO TV back in the day, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a thing now everywhere, and it was.
Right. All right, Rogue versus Nightmare, game 2 coming up now. See if Rogue's going to win game 2 and go to that winner's match.
Versus Rogue, a.k.a. Spore Door.
Spore Door. Protoss needs a door, man. Terran got a Zerg, Rogue's got a door. Where's our door?
We need a door, man.
We need a door.
Oh, there's a probe going across the map immediately.
Hatch block, I think.
Yeah, probably hatch block.
Although I would love some proxy gates, but not at this level.
Yeah, yeah.
That's more like my elo. But, woo, barely not going to get it. Very nice there for Rogue, but and just thinking back to that previous game, just sacking the mining time at the third base, knowing the Adept count is not going to be high enough that they can kill him. And all your forces couldn't just muster in front of the natural wall there as Rogue, so you're not at risk of like stray queens getting picked off by a group of 8 Adepts.
Right.
You're only losing the mining time, you're not losing the larva to replace the drones, you're not losing the drones themselves. And the kind of playstyle that Nightmare went for in that game, with 4-gate glaives behind the Stargate into, I want to say it was 7 or 8-gate blink. It is so momentum-based, is Protoss. You need those Adepts to trade and get value. And then you need the Zerg to replace those drones, and you try to abuse that window with a Blink Stalker push. But Rogue, first with the wall in, just completely stymieing the Adept push.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with the counterattack, buying more time after spotting the proxy gateway.
Yeah.
There was negative momentum there for Nightmare.
I like
he started
how you put
to try and
negative
scramble.
Momentum, yeah.
He tried to scramble, and he's like, okay, well, I have these gateways at the Twilight Council. I'm going to need splash damage because my army does not scale against what Rogue is going to have. And then Rogue hits a timing, I want to say like 15 seconds before Storm is done, and he gets the surround on the 4 High Templar. That was so by the book. That was like a perfect game from Rogue. I was just so impressed by his approach. Because usually ZVP, Protoss have a lot of tricks. You got Oracles, you got Void Rays, you have Adept Shades, and usually it's Protoss trying to throw a wrench into the Zerg machine.
Yeah.
And the question is, how well can the Zerg player juggle these problems that the Protoss is throwing at them. And will Protoss be able to get an advantage to build on that in the mid game? And Rogue just took, as you said, basically no damage. The Spore Door,
the Spore Door is sick.
perfect.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you look at most games where Adepts come in, and, you know, there's a whole bunch of different variations of Adept builds. There's actually a lot of different ways and times you can come in with Adepts. Some are all ends, and some are just like little pressures. But normally, like, when I look at games like that, what I do is I go, okay, well, how much damage can a Zerg endure in this position? And will this snowball the game out of control, or will this cripple the Zerg in a way where they can't recover? But that was the first time I went, oh, there's going to be 0 damage. This literally didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's like the opening Oracle. You expect it to get 2 or 3 drones no matter what.
Right. And it's like, ideally, you always get 2 or 3 drones. If not, it's kind of bad, but I guess the game goes on. And then let's say that the Zerg, you know, isn't paying attention. He loses 6. Well, that's bad. But yeah, I just seeing the solution there, and the fact that, you know, Rogue was so smart to just preemptively pull the drones away.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a super innovative idea. It's just that a lot of players don't react fast enough to recognize the situation and then just set up that perfect defense.
Right.
So I was really impressed with Rogue's intuition. I mean, all of the movement, all the timings were spot on in that game, showing basically no rust. I could tell why he felt so confident in the interview heading into the matches today.
Now, in this game, it's going to be the Void Ray coming out again. Doesn't look like it's going to get much done. No, Mass Link running there for the third base. Everything pretty much fine. Kind of a slow start.
Yeah,
we're still waiting to see, you know, where the tech is going to blossom for Protoss. We don't really know what kind of game we're in for yet.
It's a much more standard game. Nightmare going for the fast third base, this time behind the Oracles, which, especially now with Energy Overcharge, for a second I thought Nightmare was actually going to throw down a second Stargate, and I was like, hold the phone for a moment, but no. It will be a Twilight Council there in the main base, Rogue going up to Lair Tech, and I just imagine we're going to have a little bit of a quiet game as we wait to see exactly who's going to pull the trigger first in terms of aggression.
Right.
These Oracles pretty late. This came after the Void Race, so the fact that Nightmare hasn't gotten any damage done yet, no surprise, but ooh, be careful. It's a lot of hull damage on that Oracle.
Yeah. A couple of Lings come through here. You know, just a little bit of tit for tat here throughout the early game. We've got the fourth base coming. It doesn't seem like Protoss has any kind of timing attack ready. Last game, we had a timing attack when the Zerg was on 3 bases, but in this case, oh, nice block.
It's a speedy Adept. My Adept don't get there that fast.
This won't work, right? Can you target this
No
now?
way. No way.
Kind of a greedy move there from Nightmare.
It's ambitious.
Yeah.
It's very ambitious.
It is actually a really good thing to know is like how much of any combination of units will do enough damage to where the hatchery loses health faster than it regenerates.
Yeah, with the overcharge, or the, I don't know what to call it, the charge up on the Void Ray, it does dish out a ton of damage to those hatcheries, but 3 Queens just a little bit too much. Man, is Nightmare going to bleed out these Adepts? No, Rogue playing pretty conservatively there with the Lings.
We're going into Templar tech now. Missile weapons is being upgraded for the Zerg.
Yeah, wow, nice and quick. I feel like this is basically as soon as the Twilight Council was done, that Templar Archives got thrown down.
It's basically like a Storm upgrade tech.
Yeah, wow, and we're going for extremely fast 6 gas. So this is Nightmare basically wanting to play the game that he didn't really get to play.
Right, yeah.
And game number 1 after his initial builds got stopped so quickly. Oh no, Ling's coming in. No shield battery, so Archon's going to have to morph. It might not seem like a very big deal there for Protoss, but those first Templar, they're a real investment because those are the Templar that are most likely to have 4 storms by the time the eventual battle is going to commence, right? So resetting the energy count, that's painful there for Nightmare. I'm sure he's kicking himself for not having, you know, better positioning or having a shield battery there at the third. And very smart by Rogue to seize that moment and force the Archon to morph in.
So, you know, we're going to get into mass Hydras here. Now, Storm is the counter for that. That is literally the best thing you can have versus mass Hydras.
I think you open the help menu in StarCraft 2 and it tells you what counters what. And Storm's like, that's what you want against the Hydra list.
Yeah, the Prime official strategy guide.
But I don't know how many Storms there are going to be. Storm Tech is done. Of course, Energy Overcharge is available. You can see he already used that on that topmost Templar. So I think maybe 4 or 5 Storms in the bank. And Hydra's not very quick. off creep in a situation like this one. So I think Rogue poking forward here. I would be surprised if he goes for this fight, but it almost looks like he's trying to set up a concave.
Gotta be careful, man. Hydras are pretty crappy off creep.
Yeah, they are very brittle units.
They are maybe the worst retreating units in the game. Actually, I think they, now that I think of it, I guess literally they are, right? Like, there's nothing that's worse than running away than Hydras off creep. Especially
because they're like, they're glass cannons. They're Marines that can't stem and like hobble on one leg. Oh, and a second Stargate and a Fleet Beacon coming in for Nightmare. So I think he saw that push coming out, and he basically assessed, I am in no danger. Let's go into the late game. And I love this read because Rogue, at the same time, is going into Hive. He's fleshing out his upgrades. He's getting the Lurker Den. And so Nightmare is going to be entering, you know, eventually a 4-base game against Rogue's Hive tech with a very stable defensive setup.
The creep spread's looking really good here for Rogue. We might be going into a Lurker push. This seems to be really strong. We saw a little bit of this yesterday, but basically wedging the Lurkers in a position where, like, if you didn't stop them from getting there, it's really hard to actually come in and recover.
Yeah, SOS really struggled with that in his game, but we got to keep in mind that SOS in those matches against those Lurkers, he never really had the Sky Toss that he needed to actually gain momentum, because eventually, once the Lurkers reach a high enough mass and they get all their Hive Tech upgrades, the Protoss needs air to contest on the ground. Nightmare, he's going for air quite more quickly here, and actually, Rogue is coming in right now. I'm surprised he's doing this with just, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 Lurkers?
Are there more behind this? Maybe, I think there's more below on the screen, or is that really just 4?
Okay, more reinforcing. I guess this is a fantastic position.
Oh my God,
it's almost like a
here.
siege tank push coming in.
Yeah,
Nightmare's been sectioned off from his own natural
look
expansion.
at that. You know what? I actually like what you said there. That's really smart. It's like a siege tank push. He's like got the Hydras and he kind of runs away, and the Lurkers are the tanks. I really like the way you pointed that out. That's a really good way to look at this.
Thank you, Tasteless.
Yeah. No, everyone, pause the game. Hold on. Stay. I really like that, okay? You understand that I'm trying to tell you how good you are as a caster?
I appreciate you, Tasteless.
Yeah. All right, so
for Rogue, this is just such a problem because Nightmare, he can basically only warp in units to the left side. There's no Templar there. There's no splash damage. So these Hydras actually been doing quite some good work. But luckily for the Protoss player, Nightmare had a very good read on the situation when he stopped the initial push of Hydras and knew he could go into air. So these Tempest, they are right in the nick of time. That's going to kind of put a timer here on this push. And Mothership coming in. There's no detection here. Poor Rogue. I think this will just get cleaned up.
The Hydras, I don't know if there's enough of them. There's just Lurkers left over, and this push was actually shut down. Now, Rogue has a pretty massive army behind this, but the fact that Nightmare was able to drive this away is impressive. And again, we don't really see these kind of Lurker, kind of like a Terran push happen really, but I like it. I'm curious to see if we're going to have more of this or if this game's a one-off.
I feel like that fight for Nightmare could have been a little bit better, though, because I don't think he realized what a good position it was with no Overseer. He might have assumed there was one just out of vision. But the Lurkers were shelling all of the units at the third base during that fight, while the Mothership had actually cloaked the main army there by the natural expansion. So the trade for Rogue, even though he did lose that position, it actually wasn't that bad. And behind it, 87 drones in total, Tasteless. So Rogue is really reaching his final form here in the late game. He's pumping out a ton more Lurkers. I think 7 just finished. He's getting all of his Hive Tech coming in. He's expanding everywhere across the map. The creep spread, which you mentioned a few minutes ago was good, is now even better. And Nightmare is going to have a really hard time getting a foothold on the map against a Rogue that is very mobile and very powered up.
Okay, the Lurkers are going to come in here, and this is a double-pronged attack. So, like, I think this base up here at 12 will fall. Even if the Tempest can drive out all the Lurkers, I think. Oh, never mind. He's actually going to pull away.
Trade.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose that. I thought he was going to commit down onto that. But I guess the reality is so many workers are being killed here. We're almost up to 30. By the way, there's 87 now drones for Rogue. Yeah. Almost half his supply is just workers. So he's got a pretty crazy engine. Obviously, the more workers you have, the less of a big army you can have in the game. You're capped at 200, but wow, at this point in time, Rogue looking really good.
Yeah, Rogue basically just kneecapped the economy of Nightmare. He didn't kill the 4th base, but I think he killed basically every single probe that was there with Lurkers. And that's why he was like, you know what? I'm not going to trade. Like, these Lurkers are worth way more than 1 Nexus.
Right.
Your economy's already in shambles. I am in your natural. And now it's 50 probes here for Nightmare. He's trying to chrono boost more of them out. But the saturation just isn't there right now. You can see at the bottom of the screen, 3,000 minerals a minute, 1,600 gas per Rogue. very little here for Nightmare. Great storm on those Corruptors. If the Archons can connect too, that will go a long way to securing the air fight here for Nightmare. Doing a great job of zoning away the Zerg army. And you know, here is Protoss. Until he gets that word count back up, Nightmare needs to be basically perfect on his defense. He cannot be caught out of position. If he loses any of these high-cost units, the Tempest, the Templars, they are not going to be easily replaced. It's a very, very dangerous line to walk here for Nightmare.
So now we're going to go into Ultralisks here. Oh my god, the Corruptors are so high in number. Are they going to be able to take out this mothership? Somehow not, actually.
Oh, the Tempest falling, though. A lot of them get whittled down. The Lurkers did a great job of zoning away the Archons, making room for the battered and bruised Corruptors to actually finish off a lot of that Protoss fleet. And these are the fights that Rogue needs to take and win. I mean, he has the worker advantage. He just droned all the way back up to 85. His economy is just incredible, and so he doesn't even need to be necessarily cost efficient in these trades. He just needs to whittle down the key units, and once again, coming with the Corruptors. Storm, not that bad, but the mothership's gonna fall. Lurker's doing a great job of just buying space for the Corruptors to kill everything in the air. I think we only have, what, 2 Tempest on the field? That's it. Everything else is on the ground here for Nightmare, and I'm not sure he can handle the Lurker count as it exists currently, but 8 more are about to pop. We're going to have 15 Lurkers tasteless.
Yeah. Luckily for Nightmare, he's actually boosted his supply to the point where I think he can contend with some of this army, but you know, Rogue is very good at like beating up the Protoss early on and then making it an almost impossible game for the rest of the game. And this is a massive map, by the way. There's plenty of expansion still to be taken. He's going to try to push through here. Again, the Lurkers, the way they're positioned. Oh, hold on. Ooh. I think Rogue smells blood.
Those Lurkers going to do some heavy damage on those Archons.
Nice side storm there.
I mean, Nightmare is controlling this really well, but Rogue just has so much map control, so much mobility, so much speed. And also, he has the ability to take these trades that aren't cost efficient because his economy is just so much better. I mean, look at the map. He's got so many bases set up already. Still sitting at 85 drone. Now, I love Nightmare coming in for a counterattack right now with these Zealots. Protoss behind all of this has somehow been able to muster enough force to have effectively a maxed army on the ground again, which is a feat in and of itself. You know, one decisive fight here for Nightmare could carry some more momentum for him into the late game. But Rogue, once again, attacking the 12 o'clock position you can see right there on the minimap while shelling down the natural expansion. It's deja vu from just a couple more minutes ago. Yeah. And I don't know how Nightmare is going to break out of this position again. His army just isn't really good at attacking head-on into Lurkers.
Yeah, and he's actually isolated this. Look, both ramps are covered, and the moment that there's an imbalance over here, he says, okay, you're down here, I'm going to dive into your next base. Take this out.
Fantastic maneuvering here by Rogue.
Less than 30 probes in this game right now, and that number is just getting smaller and smaller.
It was like 65 a minute ago.
Yeah.
41 probes have died in like
insane.
The last, what, 30 seconds? I mean, Rogue just in complete control. He is looking to be in great form.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks so strong. I think this game's over.
I think so, too. I mean, Nightmare, of course, is going to try and fight it out. This is GSL Code S after all, but eventually he will come to terms with this mountain just being impossible to climb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say here. The infrastructure is going to be wiped out in a second here. GG. Rogue takes that 2-0. We got Maru versus Rogue coming up next. Hell yes.
What a series from Rogue. Game number 1, perfect defense. Nightmare just unable to build any momentum with a momentum-based game plan. And then in game number 2, Rogue just dominating the map. Fantastic unit maneuvering. It's been 9 months.
It's been a long time.
I've always fumbled over my words a little bit, but give me a year-long break of casting StarCraft and things get bad.
Yeah, we're back though. We're hitting the gym again. We're doing our reps. Okay, so we are going to go into a short break, guys. Coming up next, the winner's match. We're already here. It's crazy how fast this is moving. Yeah, Rogue versus Maru in just a little bit. See you soon.
3, 2, 1, do it!
door, now you gotta go. Breaking out the mold, ice cold, gonna do it now. Gonna do it now. Good luck, I'ma win it all. Snap, snap, got it from my mama, and you know it's no cap. Everything is gold, click that, gonna do it now. Yeah, gonna do it now. Call me an architect, I do it by design. You ain't seen nothing yet, but it's time. I get what I want. Yeah, I get what I want. Yeah, I get what I want. I'm just like that, yeah, yeah. Ready or not, I'm coming in hot, yeah. I'm just like that, yeah, yeah. I get what I want. No nonsense, I'm gonna take control. Take control, yeah. Ambition got me on a roll. I'm on a roll. Ain't nobody got the drip, I'm dropping. You can try to knock me, but I won't be stopping. No nonsense, I'm gonna take control. Don't think I'll be gone so fast. Bring your umbrella, I'll be making a splash. I get what I want. I get what I want. I get what I want. Come on now. I get what I want. Let's go. I'm just like that, yeah, yeah. Ready or not, I'm coming in hot, yeah. I'm just like that, yeah, yeah. I get what I want. I get what I want. I get what I want. I'm just like that, yeah, yeah. Ready or not, I'm coming. Get what I want. I get what I want.
Something in your wildest dreams, straight out of a magazine. We show up and kill the scene. I got what you want, I got what you need. We're moving and we don't look back. So quickly it just might crash. We kill it like a heart attack. We got what you want, we got what you need. Let's go. I'm talking out of control. We got the best show. You coming with me, 'cause we bring the party. Let's go. I'm talking out of control. We got the best show. You coming with me, 'cause we bring the party. Put it into overdrive. So cool and we don't have to try. We're high enough to touch the sky. We got what you want, we got what you need. Nobody can do it like us. So hot that you can't even touch. Burning and about to blow up. We got what you want, we got what you need. Let's go. I'm talking out of control. We got the best show. You coming with me, 'cause we bring the party. Let's go.
Thinking about the days we used to not worry about a thing. Remember when we had one thing in mind, was always having fun. I wish I could go back just for 1 second, when we partied all night, dancing till the morning light. We gotta go back in time. I'm making things happen now that I'm not a kid anymore. And even now that things got real, I won't think it twice. I'm jumping in the pool, I'm leaving all the negativity behind. Yeah. I wish I could go back just for 1 second, when we partied all night, dancing till the morning lights. We gotta go back in time. We gotta go back in time. Living life like if it was your last day on earth, on earth, on earth. Living life like if it was your last day on earth, on earth. Living life like if it was your last day on earth, on earth, on earth. Living life like if it was your last day on earth, on let's go.
What's up, everybody? We're back, and we're ready for the winner's match. And this is going to be one that is a timeless match here. Rogue versus Maru. How many times have we had the pleasure of seeing these two guys go at it? Maru, I would normally say he probably has the upper hand. He's been in, basically fairly consistently God tier condition. Yeah.
For like more than a decade, basically, right?
Excuse me. Yeah, for like more than a decade, right? So, you know, Rogue, I mean, he did make a door with the Spore.
Made a door with a
He's a bit of a Spore door guy. No, look, I mean, Rogue is looking really strong.
And he had a fantastic series there against Nightmare. And, you know, again, with Maru, I hate to bring it all the way back to him being injured and skipping some tournaments, but there are still some questions about exactly his form. I'm sure that, you know, a lot of Terran players, especially in the past, like Yun comes to mind, have had these stretches where, whether it be wrist pain, elbow pain, shoulder pain, something, usually with the mouse hand, it's hard for them to put in the hours that they need to maintain their form. And Maru is one of the hardest working StarCraft 2 pro gamers we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it is paid dividends with championship after championship. This guy is a legend, but you know, eventually that starts to take a toll. And we didn't really get to see exactly what Maru's ceiling was at in that opening series against Trigger, but I feel like him going up against Rogue now in the winner's match of Group B, we're gonna have a much better idea of where he's at in GSL. Let's get started.
In the top right is Rogue. Bottom left, Maru. I almost went to old GSL mode. I was, what the, what?
Yeah,
whoa. Whoa. I'm like one of these birds is just conditioned to do a certain thing. Like, I'm like a trained dolphin over here. I almost went back into the old GSL casting style. That was weird. So yeah, man, let's see what happens this time around. Rogue going for a fast pool. Wow.
Is this going to be CC first with a fast pool? Oh boy.
Well, you know, we almost never get to talk about this, but there are some builds that will just, like, you could be, you know, like a Gold League player and and do this versus the best player in the world, and you will be killed. Take him down.
Man, that ghost looks awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool drawing. Is this CC first and a gas first? Oh, boy.
Wow. How much more gritty could this be? It's like into a second gas first. I'm like, what?
There's a third command center.
GSL over Tom Cruise, I agree. And just like Tom Cruise, I also do all my own stunts in this show.
It's true.
This is true. You think when the battles happen, you think they get a caster double in here to do that? Not me. No. I know I could get injured, but you know, I do it for the art form. So sixlings are going to come, and you know, I'm very interested in seeing what Maru's going to do versus this. We need to see if the Lings are literally going to go all the way across the map or not.
I think they will, but my intuition is telling me the command center is going to be done.
Yeah.
And he should be able to lift to the main, but there will be a supply depot that goes down, and obviously you cannot repair a supply depot while it's being constructed. So things might get a little bit tricky here for Maru.
But this is just going to be
Marine.
It's going to be so good for the opening here.
Yeah, this is
like.
Oh, those Lings got to go, man.
Move them.
Hello?
Move them! Oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Is he always waiting for the? Oh, he's baiting the Marine with the Overlord. He's smarter than the casters. That's why he's playing more casting.
That's almost never happened before.
Oh, but Maru actually with some. Wow, the body blocks right there are the SCVs. He doesn't even get the Marine, man. I was expecting, you know, like a lift or something and some more SCVs going down, but look at this control from Maru. Only 2 SCVs going down. 2 of these Lings are already in the red. 3rd command center going down. I mean, it's not like going Nexus first against Zerg where you're at risk of dying against an early pool like this one, but that was some really nice body blocking with those SCVs. That Marine dished out way more damage than it by rights should have been able to do. I don't know why I was scared for Maru, man. This guy is just, he's just the best.
Yeah, I mean, that was like water off a duck's back. Well, I mean, he was slowed down a little bit. We're getting about 10 more drones here from Rogue, so he's really ramping up his production.
I love this. Double
eBay.
Double eBay. So wait, we got CC first.
Into
gas first. Into barracks. Into 3rd CC. Into double eBay. I wonder if this is going to culminate, because do you remember, I want to say this is like 3 years ago with us casting GSL. There was this stretch of 2 or 3 seasons where TBZ almost felt like a coin flip in terms of, not like a balanced coin flip, but what the Terran was going to do. Where they were 50-50 in terms of going CC first into like an 8 barracks all in. And usually when it happened, it was like a 90% plus win rate. Like if the Zerg couldn't do something to slow it down. And then it just kind of fell off the meta. I think Zergs, over one of the off seasons, got better at kind of figuring this out and learning how to deal with this build. But I wonder if Maru, with all of this extreme early game greed, is going to be building up to just like some insane 2D timing or something like that. Because eventually there's going to be a stretch where this is going to pay off a bunch. Okay, some nice control there with Rogue again pulling those drones. Lesser player would have lost a lot more against those opening Hellions. Instead, only 2 of them going down. But for Maru, I'm imagining over these next couple of minutes, his supply is really going to start to balloon. And I'm curious how quickly he's going to be adding in the additional barracks and if that is his game plan to go for some kind of killer push.
Yeah, well, there's definitely going to be a really, really strong push coming. I mean, one of the probably strongest pushes you could have in the game, with minus the fact that the Lynx did slow down Maru a little bit. But this is one of these builds where I'm like, this is so greedy and so complete, and you trying to cut every corner possible. Like, he'll probably attack at 2-2 because he doesn't have anything to work with at 1-1. Like, his barracks are literally about to finish, and so is 1-1. But the 2-2, or even, you know, the quicker 3-3 is going to be insane.
Yeah. I'm just watching that production tab. I'm waiting to see like 2 or 3 more barracks if they get thrown down. I think Maru, I didn't get a good look at the base. I believe it's 5 racks at this moment. And I want to see what path he takes. Because Rogue, he was able to slow down Maru, you know, not significantly, but enough to hiccup the build a bit. And actually, hold that thought, Tasteless. It's Rogue pulling the trigger first. Tons of roaches coming out with +1 carapace.
Yeah. Now, let's see how this does. I mean, you know, Maru's not where he like needs to be, so to speak, as far as mustering an army. I mean, when you go for a fast command center, you go for fast gas, you go for fast E-base, what you're giving up is the units you would normally have early on to do, you know, pokes or a scout or harass. So all the barracks are just now done, but the roaches are going to come down here like a sledgehammer, and they're probably going to force this command center lift off. We don't even have any medevacs in the game yet. Yeah, there's 2 that are about to come out, but just, you know, for some emphasis here, that's how greedy Maru was. So let's see how this roach timing actually does.
+1 carapace and roach speed going to be finishing at basically the same time here for Rogue. Now Maru, with these Hellions, is scouting the push. 3 more barracks in production, so Maru, eventually, he's going to start ramping up that production, but as soon as his +1 carapace hits, that +1 attack advantage that Maru has on the Marines, they're going to be tickling the roaches again. It's a big difference having an upgrade advantage versus equal upgrades. Carapace just now finishing the moment that Rogue pounces on this 3rd base. Stim coming in, only 1 Marauder adding in DPS against the armored units here. And a lot of SCVs falling already, 7. There is 1 siege tank here in the natural expansion, but Maru's certainly going to have to forfeit the 3rd base. He's going to have to forfeit all the depots there on the ground.
Yeah, and this is going to be a supply block now.
Wow.
And I don't think he needs to do more than this. Is he going to try to force his way in? You know, 3 Ravager shots will kill a tank. So what he's going to do is he's just going to take the depots out. Is he going to go try to take 1 more in here before he tries to shove? There's a double drop coming in here onto the side.
Rogue is not transitioning out of this, by the way. He is not going back into drone production. He's just queuing up more roaches. 12 more roaches just queued. I love this move by Maru going for the counterattack, but Rogue recognizes that means there isn't a lot here in the front. Biles connect with the tanks. 1 of them goes down, but with this arc, Maru barely hanging on here in the natural expansion. He didn't lose a ton of SCVs. Focused by right now on the roaches there with the siege tank maximizing the damage, and by a thread, he is holding on just before 2-2 finishes, but on Rogue's side of the map, the double drop, yes, he did kill a hatchery, but Rogue is still sitting at 63 drones. I don't know if Maru's going to be able to get enough momentum to push forward.
Yeah, well, this drop can be stopped, right?
I mean, 2-2 is done now, so it's going to trade a lot better here with these roaches, but still, there's just so much coming in here from Rogue. I think Maru might have been expecting Rogue to maybe even transition a little bit into the drones, but no, it's just more army coming out. Even now, even in this moment, 10 more roaches, 12 more roaches getting queued.
Good lord, these 2-2 Marines are so strong.
It's a big difference.
It's so unnatural looking watching them just plow through this. The problem, though, is that, I mean, once Rogue winds up, you know, the next attack, it should be really hard for Maru to stop. Maru's not on 3 bases. He lost a lot of SCVs. He's on 36 workers. Now, Rogue isn't all in, but he's definitely trying to end the game right now. He's not investing in anything in the future other than this extra hatchery, which I think he just had the minerals for. So he just sort of throws this down here.
I don't know if he can actually break Maru, though. As long as Maru is sitting on the 2 bases and he doesn't try and go out to that 3rd, I don't think that Rogue can push through this very small angle of attack with the siege tanks all the way in the back and stop a Maru that has 2-2.
Barely anything mining as far as gas goes.
And with the upgrade advantage, Maru is eventually going to outscale Rogue. Roaches and Ravagers, they power spike early, but as soon as Maru starts to get close to triple-digit army supply, those Roaches and Ravagers, they're going to melt. And let's not forget, it's not just 2-2. 3-3 is on the way now for Maru. And yes, he did lose a lot of SCVs, but that 3rd orbital, this entire time, it has been reproducing those SCVs. So the mining for Maru, he's only just a pace behind Rogue. It's 2K to 2.5K right now on the board. There is a world where Maru, if he can weather the storm for the next couple of minutes, is just able to outclass the army of Rogue because it is just Roach Ravager.
It shuts down that medevac. Yeah, you might be right, State. Like, it might be as dramatic as that attack was and as scary as it was for Maru, like, you know, he's going to have a better army. When you see Roach Ravager, you have to realize when they get that many, they don't generally have a plan for later on. These units are cost too much supply and are not good compared to, like, you know, Marines with 3-3 as an example. He's throwing spore crawlers down everywhere. Maru did a really good job with the harass. It's kind of incredible to see someone hang on versus maxed out Zerg for this long.
I mean, 2 Marines going after drones and with +2 upgrades almost feels like 2 Oracles going after drones, you know?
Right.
They laser him down so quick.
By the way, we're only just now going to have this 3rd base land as 3-3 is close to finishing. So, you know, basically Rogue couldn't attack in on the 2 bases because of the turtle position. That might be different once his 3rd base is down here. There might be a wide open target that you know, he wants to try to take on.
Yeah, I think Rogue might try to seize the moment. But
a lot of tanks down here.
Yeah, and it's mostly a Roach army. There are only 5 Ravagers on the board.
It's 3 Ravager shots to kill a tank. The Ravager shots, by the way, earlier were like weirdly staggered.
I think
normally you see like 3, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, they just couldn't get in range. They were just like half a range away from hitting it all at the same time because it's such an awkward choke to push in. But now Rogue coming in with a 360 surround. Will he have enough? 3-3 just now finishing here for Maru. So these Marines packing such a punch. And the class of this army that Maru's got, even with a +2 Carapace coming in from
it's
Rogue.
Crazy. Like, I think that there's a world where Rogue can lose this game. It's like, oh my God, he's gonna counter push. Dude, I think actually Maru might win this game.
Dude, it's the upgrades.
He's gonna get Banes, but like, you know, Maru has no problem kiting Banes.
Yeah, Maru was basically on the brink of death, but he barely survived, and now all of that early greed.
There's so many Ravagers morphing, which is going to give him a lot of time to set this up. He's going to fan the tanks out. He's going for this hatchery.
All right, Maru pushing in. That's a really big concave there for Rogue. Some nice dodges there on the bios. There are so many siege tanks, though.
The Banes are just literally not getting close
Look at the focus fire on the Banelings. Targets basically every single one of them.
Did he just win? I think he just won the game.
Dude,
what?
So sick.
This is hilarious. Oh my God. I can't believe this.
68 army supply to 48. Maru at 34.
He's a legend. He's such a legend. This is so sick.
I love you, Maru.
Oh my God. I can't believe how good this is. Drones are being pulled.
You know, Rogue just, more Roaches and Raptors coming in. Bailing speed only just now finishing. It's like every single Marine and Marauder here is a personal medevac. And even though the economy right now for Maru is not great, the army's just so strong.
I mean, now Rogue has shrunk down to Maru's size and supply, but Maru's going to be pumping on these 3 bases.
It is so scrappy. We have more medevacs than Bio, it feels like, here on the ground.
He's stimming Marines across the map.
Yeah, Marines being produced 12 at a time. There are only 19 Marines in total on the board. And Maru very wisely now at the 12 o'clock position will be going after these drones. He takes down that hatchery, able to kill a lot more workers here, kiting forward again. Don't want to get a little bit too ambitious here, Maru. There is a world still where Rogue is able to focus down enough of this bio that he can stabilize because the firepower is slowing down. Now the 75 army supply here for Maru is a little bit disingenuous because 12 of it is in medevacs, right? The actual DPS of the army isn't that high at this moment, but give Maru like 1 more minute to muster up a couple Liberators, a lot more Marines and Marauders, and Rogue is going to be hard-pressed to fight this army again. What a crazy game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Rogue's hanging on, but it's really hard to imagine him winning this. God, this base is so abusable, by the way. Oh my God.
Some nice files, though. I think another siege tank went down there on the flank, and now Rogue going to try and come here on the right side. A lot of movement here for Maru to be able to kite back. Going to focus fire on the Ravagers. GG is called. Rogue trying to hold on, but Maru stealing the show. From the brink of death back at home, where he had like less than a dozen Marines, maybe 1 or 2 siege tanks, just trying to stop with the full SEV pull, that push to the natural expansion. And then finally when 3-3 kicks in, he's like, okay, now is my time.
Yeah.
That's what those double engineering bays were for.
That was like a real, I think the word teachable moment is lame, but it is like, if you want to learn about the game, and like I'm sure there's people that watch and they don't really understand, like why does, sometimes I see roaches, sometimes I see Ling Bane, right? Like, the roaches are there to smother the other player and knock him out of the game before he can get that tech.
Yeah.
The 3-3 Marines with medevacs and tanks is a better late game comp. It scales much better than, let's say Roach Ravager. And so the fact that Maru survived that kind of all-in attack and turtled back, giving up his third base, and just kept powering up, it made Rogue obsolete in the late game. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw him trying to get Banelings too little too late. Now Maru up with a 1-0 lead. One of my favorite games I've seen, by the way.
Yeah.
That
Best
was
one
great.
so far this season.
Okay, Rogue in the bottom left, Maru in the top right. I was thinking back, I can't remember which finals it was because I've just casted too many GSL games, but I remember one GSL finals, and it was Maru versus Rogue. And I was really curious how Rogue was going to approach it because Maru just didn't look beatable in the matchup. And then every game, Rogue just went for Roach Ravager and won. And it was like, it was so interesting to see because I'm like, oh, I guess these guys played each other so much. Rogue just seems to understand that Maru seems to have a hard time with this. And when I saw that it happened in this game, I thought, yeah, maybe he's going to try this out again. But clearly Maru is very much improved on that.
I think on a different map, that push could have worked. But it was just such an awkward choke point to push in.
Yeah, it is a pretty tight bottleneck.
I hope both teams have fun. Oh, yeah.
Well, Rogue didn't, but yeah.
He did for a couple minutes, and then Maru got to have
He enjoyed
his
most of the game until he died.
Oh. Yeah, that was just, that's just classic Maru right there. I love that so much, that game. Because he recognizes, Maru is one of the best players in the world at just identifying the win condition. I feel like this is a skill that doesn't get talked about very much, but you put most players, not even just pro gamers, but like you put like a semi-pro in that kind of position there as Terran, where they're basically on death's door. They're surviving this push from Rogue. Rogue is on 4 bases. There's a maxed Roach Ravager army. And you just have kind of this shell of a forest defending your homeland back on your side of the map. A lot of players would see that situation and maybe even write themselves off. But Maru recognizes this. He's just so good at getting a read that he's like, you know what? There is a window. I get 3-3. That is my power spike. By then, I'll be close to max. By then, Rogue, who's on Roaches and Ravagers, who are 2 very supply inefficient units, is going to be at a low point in his tech. And he capitalized on it and wins a beautiful comeback game. I mean, he must have lost like 30 SCVs, if not more, in that match.
It was a lot, man. It was like close to half of his workers for a little bit there. Kind of crazy to see that the Overlord got sniped. Yeah, the player of the caliber of these two.
I mean, there's so many little meta games that happen, especially when map pools get rotated like this.
It's something we don't talk about a lot, but it's like one of the first things you have to learn when you get to like a pretty high level. Is like, okay, like where do they actually scout and where can they hide Overlords and not hide Overlords, and how long does it take to get there? And that's how you end up with a game like this one where Maru is able to get a jab in pretty early and take that out.
Yeah, anything you can slow down the early games of their economy is good. a very snowball-y eco that Zerg's got. And coming in for Maru now, not quite the same green we saw in game number 1. He's going into Hellions, Rapid Starport, pretty fast stim as well. No 3rd CC, no engineering bays. And Liberators too. Huh. I'm very interested in what these Marines are going to be doing. We got 3 Marines, 2 or 3 Marines just kind of parked themselves outside the 3rd base of Rogue and are only just now coming home. And the Hellions, oh, can he get the body block? Oh, you're so good, Rogue.
Rogue.
The Spore Doorman strikes again.
I need some ID, sir.
Wow.
Damn.
Those queens just shimmied into like 2 of the best body blocks.
That's especially hard to do in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, queens are a little bit funky.
Dota, Warcraft 3, Brood War, where the units are a little bit more, I guess they have like sharper edges.
Yeah.
They can kind of get stuck on each other.
Queens are clumsy
StarCraft
units.
2, I mean, things are very slippery. So like that's really, really impressive. Oh, he's making a spore. He's going to make it for a door.
And we have Roaches in production here for Rogue as well. 46 drones in total. I really want to see the production tab and see exactly what Rogue's game plan is going to be here because, you know, we have Maru. We didn't touch on this quite yet, but he's going for this low ground wall, something that Beyond popularized a long time ago with the Reaper opening. Maru now incorporating, even without the Reaper opening, here in the early game. But it is a potential point of contention for the Zerg with Roaches and Ravagers where you can get a lot more value than you could say in the previous game where it was just supply depots there for Maru. But for Rogue, it seems like instead just kind of focusing on getting enough Roaches to stabilize the defense back at home and macro up. He's going into Laratech, he's pumping out even more drones, adding in 4 additional gas geysers. It's a lot of gas, Tasteless.
It's a lot of gas, you're right.
Huh.
Yeah. Let's see what he wants to do with that. Excuse me. Let's see what he wants to do with that here. Rogue this game, he's getting armor and missiles. So, I mean, that's a nod to more Roaches this time around. He's going to try to stick with the Roach Ravager play, which makes me want to look at where the 3rd base for the Terran is going to be and how well it can be defended. Because when you see Roaches and Ravagers, it means there's going to be an attack early. It's inherently not an investment in a super long late game.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, but we just had an Infestation Pit and a Hydralisk Den get thrown down here from Rogue. So I wonder if this is going to be something more like a Roach Hydra with some Infestors, maybe?
I think I was being too deterministic in the game. You're right. You're right. It could absolutely be that if there's a Hydra Den coming down here. I just saw some Roaches running around, and then I saw the missile upgrade, and I'm like, aha!
All right, Roach is now here at the 3rd base. It's 4th base, excuse me. By the way, Rogue a lot better with the upgrade timing just because Maru wasn't quite so greedy. Oh, look at these Hellions! Nothing over there to stop. That's a lot of drones going down.
Yeah.
Is he going to get the 6th one? Oh, he wants it.
He needs to make like 8 spores up above that place. He can wall it off. We already know the answer to this.
Just spore door everything,
yeah, just spores everywhere.
But yeah, the upgrade differential that played to Maru's advantage there in game number 2, or game number 1, excuse me, is not really going to culminate here in game number 2. It might be like a 5-second difference between the timing of ranged weapons and Carapace for Zerg and 1-1 here for the Terran. So the Roaches on the ground, they should fare a lot better here against the Fireball that Maru is going to have. And it's such a treat to watch these guys play again, especially with Rogue looking actually really good so far today. I mean, these Hellions, this 4th base has been such a weak point in defense. It's surprising. I think in total that's maybe double-digit drones that have gone down.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been quite a bit. So we're going to be in, well, hold on, he's making a couple more Roaches now.
Yeah, and a Lurker Den.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
Huh.
Lurkers have been pretty hot this season, by the way. I know we're, early on here in this GSL, but, like, they've been looking pretty good. They've been making waves here. So it's going to be kind of a slow game for a little bit here. Both sides are really macroing up. Maru's going to try to come in here for yet another drop, but this is more of a creep sweeping move. Especially if you're fighting Roaches, you just sort of ignore them. You take whatever fights you can, and then when they get too close, you do exactly this. You pick up and you run away.
I like Rogue almost going for the blind spots there with the Biles. It's hard to see them on like the doodads, the trees in the corner. He was like, well, maybe I can catch one of these medevacs. Love that little technique. Maru, unfortunately, able to evade that there, so Rogue only doing a little bit of damage to the airships. And now Maru actually moving across the map, so I don't think we have a 4th command center in production just yet. I think this might just be something like an 8-Rax push coming in here from Maru. 3 Marauders in production, 6 Marines, more siege tanks.
He drives him back there.
Yeah, he is gunning for that third base. Maru, with this little force here in the middle, is just trying to distract Rogue a little bit by feigning really his attention on the creep spread and then pouncing on this position here at the third. And Rogue only just now going to realize that's a little bit too late to form a door. And now the siege tanks are already positioned by this hatchery. Excellent maneuvering here by Maru. This hatchery basically dead to rights. Rogue going to be reset down to a 3-base economy. He is expanding to the 9 o'clock position. And lurkers are on the field. But actually, Seismic Spine's coming in so fast. That's a fast high tech here from Rogue, too. But the Infestation Pit and also being down here at the third base. Quite a bit of tech going down for Zerg.
We got to see how exactly Rogue's going to fend this off. Losing the base already is terrible. Yeah, by the way. Like, this is not going to be a sustainable situation. And we're already in a position where the tanks are pretty well... Like, I love the fact that he's even got this little attack coming up here. I thought the tank would be sieged up. He's going to siege that up now. Oh, my God! Wow. The dive is just insane.
What a concave.
Yeah, dude. Did not blink at those lurkers at all. He's like, I have exactly the right angle here. He's leapfrogging the tanks. The lurkers are going to try to sandbag the push again. Oh, what's up? He pulls him in, but weirdly, that actually kind of allows the infantry to come in.
Yeah, it's
that was
funny,
actually kind of a self-owned. That was like, whoa. Okay, so
hoisted by his own petard.
All right, hold on. I want to explain. I want to explain what happened there because that was. I almost never get to see anything like that in a game. He pulled the 2 tanks in, which is like, okay, now you can't break my position, right? The lurkers target the tanks. Now the Marines can dive onto the lurkers. And you can see both of them kind of laughing and talking about what just happened back there. That was a very, very unusual situation.
That was a funny little fight we had right there at the end.
It was a bit of a kind of like stepping on a rake and it comes and hits you in the face. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of slapstick with what happened in that moment.
Almost a Looney Tunes moment. Well,
that was very, very unusual. We're going to go to an interview, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we are.
Oh, it's us doing it. Yeah. Congratulations, Maru. Maru says thank you. Well, Maru, you were on fire. How do you feel going into the quarterfinals? Well, you know, it was a tough fight, but I'm very happy to make it into the quarterfinals with a 4-0. So, Maru, you'll be heading into Group B with Gumiho and Classic. So, how do you feel about your odds against those opponents? Well, I don't feel like I can really regain my old form here, but I feel like I'm getting better, so I think I should have a good chance. So in the winners match, you played up against Rogue. It must have felt like a tough matchup going into it. How did you feel in the moment? Well, honestly, when Rogue went for that initial attack in game number 1, I was feeling stressed, but when the attack eventually fizzled out, I realized I could actually make it. I had a path to victory. And so, do you have any words to say about GSL? Anything you want to say to the fans now that we're back here in the studio? And Maru, of course, being very gracious. Welcome, everybody, for coming down. And now the casters are asking, what are your goals for this GSL? Are you looking for yet another GSL trophy? Do you think you're going to have a path to another championship? And I think Maru is actually saying that Protoss these days seems to be doing quite well, so might be a tough road for him there in the round of 8. And he's going to try his best to show good games for his fans. Tasteless.
I didn't see it coming, State.
Yeah, man, I was a little bit caught off guard right there with the interview. I wasn't expecting us to try and do that thing.
We don't have a translator today.
Yeah, that was maybe not the best iteration of the post-game interview that we've done, but I mean, we had a long off season.
We'll try to show great interviews for our fans next time. All right. Also, we think Protoss is too strong. Yeah, everybody thinks Protoss is too strong. They're never winning our tournament.
They just suck,
This goes
man.
on forever. It just goes on forever. Like,
they're just not
well,
as
if they're
good,
so strong, why don't they just win?
Tasteless.
Why don't they win everything?
They're just
Why
not
do we have
as
these
good,
tournaments if
Tasteless.
actually there's some objective reality you guys all see that can't happen here? We'll be right back.
for the answer, day and night, looking far and wide. Try to follow the light, try to find peace of mind, but there's no need to run or hide. You'll find it right here. You'll find it right here. you'll find it right here. In a world that's spinning fast, every step becomes a question on your mind. Let's go.
We're back. We're so back. Thank God GSL's back. Trigger versus Nightmare coming up, everybody. PvP for us here.
Yeah, first PvP this season.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Maru moves on. Although I got to say, it was in a pretty epic fashion. Those were some great games from him.
Yeah, he looked so on point. You know, the rumor mill has been spinning about his injuries and what condition he's going to be in. But seeing his performance there against Rogue and also against Trigger, if you didn't tell me that he was injured, I wouldn't be able to tell from those games. Like, that was just classic Maru. His engagements were so good, his game sense was on point. So I really think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Obviously the favorite in Group B to go on to the round of 8, and he did it in very convincing fashion. But now we have the two players who lost their initial series, both of them 2-0. Maru 2-0 Trigger in his GSL debut. Nightmare lost 2-0 to Rogue in his earlier match, and one of them is going to be eliminated.
Yeah. Let's see what happens, man. Trigger in his very first GSL, fighting for survival. Nightmare, like everybody else here at this point in time, a veteran. Old school at this point in time for GSL, but I think this should be a pretty even match. I think it should be a real back and forth. We're going to ley lines here for map number 1. Let's see who survives and goes on to face Rogue. Okay, top right is Trigger, bottom left is Nightmare. Finally going into a mirror matchup today here with this PvP.
Yeah, I'm really curious how this one's going to shape up. So for me, during the offseason, from EWC all the way to the circuit starting up again with GSL and all these other events, you know, being revitalized here in StarCraft 2, I've mostly been focused on the way the ability of energy recharge on the Nexus has been changing matchups like PBT in PvZ. I'm a little bit more uncertain about the implications of it here in PvP at the super top level.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Sure with some support here from the fans.
Nice.
Hoping he can make it all the way to EWC. Trying to get Protoss their energy.
I know.
Love it.
Sorry, guys. All the pros say they're too strong, so there's no
Even
stopping.
Trigger in his interview was like, yeah, Protoss is a little bit too strong.
I can't wait for next season when a Protoss doesn't win this GSL, and they keep saying this. This is going to...
Yeah, it'll never go
world
away.
I'm living in.
But I am curious if we're going to have, like, Sentry openings coming in. Like, I'm thinking back to stats in previous GSL seasons when he would open, like, Sentry Stalker, Expand. And it seemed so rock solid, especially on good expansion maps like Golden Aura.
Right.
Back in those previous GSLs. And I just remember being so excited about how strong the defense looked because people tried to bust him. And then they stopped because they're like, well, this isn't really working.
Right.
But now with Energy Recharge, a little bit more of that rock, paper, scissors game in PvP can be removed because as soon as that Sentry pops, you can charge it up with the Nexus, you get an extra 100 energy, and you can send a Hallucination Scout immediately across the map. We see Trigger right now going for that Sentry Stalker, and the Phoenix gets across map about the same time that you would want to throw down your Nexus. It's not like it gets there before to check the expansion, you know, before you would build down your own expansion. So there's a little bit of a wiggle room where you still need to react to what your opponent is doing, but a lot of the fog of war of PvP in that regard has been diminished. And so having Trigger for the expansion like this here with a Sentry, interestingly, I think he actually didn't recharge. I have been so surprised in these last 2 days of GSL how little it's been utilized, this energy recharge ability. I think maybe I just Me personally, I'm biased because I've been having so much fun playing with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's one of these things, like, sometimes, I've seen this with other patches before, where, you know, pro gamers go, oh, well, now, like, the Hellions, we can't even use it anymore because they changed it. And then I come to the studio and I'm like, it's literally here just as much as it was before. You never know. You never know what's going to happen when these patches come.
Great shield battery can get thrown down. That will stop these Adepts. Both players go for the expansion. Phoenix now coming in here for a trigger. Of course, the energy recharge is not free. It effectively costs you a chrono boost, which is effectively costing you a probe,
right,
to do that kind of scout in the early game. So it does make sense to be a little bit more greedy here as trigger, especially if you've done your prep. You have a better idea of what your opponent Nightmare is doing, and he does spot the Twilight Council there in the main base. Trigger's going for the Twilight Council of his own, and you know, relatively standard start here. No shenanigans early game.
No, I mean, it looks like they're both going to get their expos up. Sometimes PvP can be a game where, like, one guy expands and either holds a rush or gets smashed in the process.
That's actually finishing there, and then Trigger with Warpin.
Yeah, that was
blocking them
nice.
out, and now coming in here with 3 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. He did not let up on the production out of those 2 gateways at all, and he's actually catching Nightmare a little bit off guard. Force Field there at the bottom of the ramp, going to zone out those units, and Trigger just going to retreat. He killed, I think, at least one of those Adepts. This one on 15 HP might even get caught by the retreating Stalkers.
He's going to try to intercept this. In fact, it's probably going to be smarter for Nightmare to go like sort of an unusual way.
Yeah, that's lovely
across
there
the
for
map.
Trigger.
Yeah, nicely done. Both blinks are roughly timed out. Looks like Nightmare has a little bit of a lead. Sometimes if you're just a little bit ahead in a blink and you can start to win a fight, that one extra blink you have before there's finishes can win you the game.
Yeah, but also 400 resources lost advantage there for Trigger over Nightmare because of those early skirmishes. That goes a long way, especially in a mirror matchup when you're going for effectively mirrored compositions. A lot of time in PvP, if you want to play more of a macro style, you will just stay on 2-gate Twilight Council and 1 Robo. And you don't really ramp up the gateway production until you get your 3rd base up because you're constantly producing Stalkers out of those 2 gateways. It's how we have 10 units on the board right now for Trigger. It's how we have, what, 8, 9 units here for Nightmare. Is they're just not missing production cycles. But interestingly, actually, I think it's Trigger that's throwing down 2 additional gateways before that 3rd base. As Nightmare is maneuvering across the map. With this Phoenix, he can blink on top. Blink is done here for Nightmare, but decides better of it. He's going to play nice and safely, and in fact, add an additional gas and add in an Immortal here. Huh. I'm a little surprised how timid they are about taking this 3rd expansion, Tasteless.
Yeah, you know, let's see if this works. It does feel a little bit quick, right? And when you see a Warp Prism coming in here for Trigger, I mean, it does feel like he's going to lay up for a big attack, right? So let's see if, in fact, Nightmare can hold this. Now, if you're making a Warp Prism, you're not making an Immortal. So we have a 2nd Immortal coming out here. Trigger's going to expand just a little bit later, actually.
Delay expansion, 4 gateways in total. He's been on point with his production cycles, so there's a ton of Stalkers on the map right now here for Trigger. 15 in total, 4 Stalker advantage over his opponent.
Trigger's on the move here. Now, he's going to have a little bit of a bigger army because he got his 3rd Nexus later. I don't even know if he knows about the 3rd base. He might just be trying to come out here towards the natural.
A lot of force fields here in the bag. If he can section off those Immortals, and indeed he does, he can take a favorable exchange here. More damage being dealt right now by Trigger Stalkers as opposed to Nightmares. But it's a tough position to break into, kind of similar to the way that Rogue had a hard time pushing into the natural expansion of Maru. Trigger's having a hard time fighting through this choke between the natural and the 3rd. It's a Nightmare. And I think Trigger recognizes that and is like, okay, well, I can't get too much done. Let's throw down a Forge. Let's get charged. Let's transition into the next stage. Whereas Nightmare kind of doing something different. He is not going into upgrades. He's throwing down 6 additional gateways and now building a Warp Prism. I think he wants to turn the table a little bit here on Trigger and become the aggressor.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to come down here now. He's sharking around the map for the time being.
The
is there an
extra
observer with this? I don't think there is, actually. Yeah, so he can't snipe that. Zealot charge on the way. Gonna have a bit of a fight over here.
Warp Prism, a little bit vulnerable, but instead going for the Stalkers is Nightmare.
Oh, Nightmare's looking pretty strong. Is he gonna just blink right at him? Yeah, he can start to do that with some of these. That's always a scary thing, man. When you start to get a lead with those Stalkers, you can really kind of close in, sink your teeth into that.
A lot of energy left on these sentries too. I think 3 or 4 force fields at least. And this is a good angle to come in with force fields as well, with that battery especially not being done just yet.
Looks like he snipes that observer. Warp Prism here for Nightmare is going to come in. He's unloading some Stalkers. He'll be warping in shortly after that. Oh, he's actually juggling. Okay, he's just making sure the weaker Stalkers can get away and be safe. You know, the problem is that this Nexus is like part of the block.
Blink on the left side there by Trigger. Now Zealot's coming in and trying to absorb the impact there from the Stalkers. Probes also getting pulled. So a lot of Nightmare's units attacking these units without bonus damage. They're attacking Probes, they're attacking Zealots, but still, those Immortals doing a ton of work. Trigger losing quite a few workers right now, but is he going to hold on, Tasteless? Charge 9 seconds away from completion. He's blinking forward. He's blocking the retreat.
Trigger looking good, man. He's going to chase him away. That was a really strong attack there. I actually almost thought it was going to be an overextension.
Yeah.
When he went for the Warp Prism, I'm like, oh, that can't be right. And then it actually worked. And so now we're going to have that tech finished. Trigger's going to be warping in plenty, and I think his counterpunch may be devastating. It could even take this third base out.
Yeah, that was looking so good there for Nightmare with that massive concave on the left side with a force field that he had on the sentries. But Trigger just with some beautiful probe pulls. The Zealot warp and absorbed a ton of damage. Now he's on the aggro. Blinking here on the left side, Zealot charging in. A lot of Zealots here for Nightmare as well, but keep in mind, he does not yet have charge. Trigger, +1 about to finish. The Immortal trying to focus fire down these weakened Stalkers on the right side. Battery about out of energy too. Trigger doing an excellent job of keeping these Zealots alive, and now it's Nightmare with a probe pull.
The Immortal's still doing a lot of work back there. Is he going to try to dive in on this? He does one-shot it. 16 probes have already been wiped. Zealots are warping in. The force fields are very punishing. I don't know, man. I think we may be at the very end of this game. The Zealots can just keep chasing these Stalkers, giving free shots for Trigger Stalkers up here now. 91 supply to 63. And no end in sight. Oh my God, the Immortal comes in here.
Yeah. Usually when robo units are rallied across map, it's in bad situations. But that Immortal just decked 2 Stalkers, and Trigger with his first GSL victory.
Nice.
Takes a map here against Nightmare.
A fresh face in GSL, performing well, taking out Nightmare. We saw him kind of... that was funny.
Yeah. I'm really impressed with the composure of Trigger, by the way. So many players have come onto the GSL stage, even like veterans, and almost get in their own head. I know, like Rainer, like world champion, one of the best players in the world. He talked about how in his interview too, in his first couple of seasons in GSL, he would get in his own head. But
I think it's because a lot of people discover competitive StarCraft through this tournament, and so it kind of becomes weird when they're finally in it. You know, we've had a ton of great players around the world. Not that many have actually played in GSL outside. Outside of Korea, all the good Korean players have played this. But yeah, I think a lot of people, because this show started basically like during the beta of StarCraft 2, right? Or maybe like right after. I actually can't remember quite when the thing happened, but it was like we were doing this right out of the gate. I think a lot of people, they look at it, it feels a little bit weird, right? It's yeah, so, but Trigger, clearly not the case. Trigger is just, this is just another day. He looked really good. Really good decision-making in that attack. We're going to go into game 2, guys. Let's do this. Okay. Trigger in the top right, Nightmare in the bottom left.
So one of the things about Trigger that I think might be surprising some of these Korean opponents who haven't played against him too much, like Nightmare, is that this guy's got really good control. Trigger, one of his favorite things to do when training for StarCraft 2 is play these like UMS maps that just focus on micro, where you have, say, 7 or 8 Stalkers against an AI that is super good at Blink.
Yeah.
And he will just basically run drills with his Blink Stalkers, microing as best he can.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best players in the world at doing this. And I feel like that was really showcased in the previous game, where Nightmare, attacking that third base, had this massive concave on the left side. The Warp Prism, it didn't seem like it was in a position that was vulnerable, but Trigger is just so solid with these scrappy fights at knowing how to mess up the AI of his opponents attacking units, like those Stalkers targeting the Zealots and the Probes instead of his own Stalkers, therefore mitigating the bonus damage. And then also positioning so well. Like knowing that he can blink on the left side. We thought it was an overextension, but Trigger's like, you know what, this is just enough.
Yeah.
I will be able to cover this with the Zealots and the Probes on the top. I will be able to win it out. And I feel like in terms of Trigger's gameplay, from my perspective, from the games that I have seen from him, that is what he does best. That is his greatest strength. And that shines, I feel like, more so in PvP than basically any other matchup, because it is so based on these gateway unit armies, especially Blink Stalkers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good point here. Both going to depth, by the way. I was kind of waiting for these gateways to finish to see what was going to be made. Now, it looks like we're going to have a span down here for Nightmare. Pylon on the low ground, kind of a nod to taking that base over there.
Very typical to throw that third pylon down.
Yeah. And, I mean, we'll see where the deviation is, but right now they're just literally mirroring each other. It feels like a lot of the ZVZs early on we cast. So the Adepts are going to be out on the move here for Trigger. He's going to throw his Nexus down. We're waiting for that Nexus to come down here for Nightmare. Now, there are weird things you can do, like put the third pylon down there and just, you know, it kind of implies an expansion and then do something weird and cheesy, but that's not happening this time around. His Nexus is just a little bit later.
Yeah, I think the difference was Nightmare queued up those 2 Stalkers and then started the Nexus, whereas... Oh, no! No battery.
God.
Okay, that's a lot of probes going
This is
down.
like probably the worst thing that can happen early game PvP is 2 Adepts getting your base. 2 Adepts can one-shot probes, so like you just get a lot of kills. And it doesn't really cost that much. There's not a lot of Oh my God!
Wait a second! What is happening? How is this also...
I totally missed that on the minimap, and then when
God.
they went back, I'm like, oh my God, it's
I was like,
happening
what a
here too.
disaster for
They
Trigger.
both messed up, and now he's gonna get back in.
Yeah.
Now he cancels.
Oh, that's so funny. Because I'm imagining, from Nightmare's perspective, he sends the 2 Adepts into the main base, and he's like, ha ha, I got you.
Yeah.
And then he hears like the attack, the attack warning happening back
it is
at home.
maybe like that may be like actually the worst feeling in StarCraft is when you're like, I'm winning, I'm God tier, and then you go back, you're like, all my workers are gone.
Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
know?
just like basically even now. But
Right, yeah.
Yeah, losing 4 or 5 probes like that in the early game with 2 Stalkers is a disaster. 1 more Adept isn't going to get into the main base. This is not nearly the threat that 2 Adepts is, because it obviously cannot one-shot these probes, but...
Yeah, but I mean, you're
nice
going to get
move.
probably, what, 2
That's
kills?
worth
I thought
it.
he might get 3, but the force field is pretty good. So they're both going for Blink. So maybe Trigger's like a % ahead or something. He's 31 workers to 27. Actually, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
nice.
good.
Yeah, he had the faster Nexus, and he got, I think, maybe 1 more probe in total than his opponent.
Yeah.
So. I'm still so amused by that. It's one of the funniest early game PvP interactions I've had in a while. Well, army composition's effectively mirrored. We got 6 Stalkers for both players. I think it's Nightmare that has 1 more sentry than his opponent. But besides that, macro looking about the same, blink timing effectively the same. Trigger just with a very slight edge here, but absolutely anyone's game. And I'm almost a little bit surprised here that Nightmare's moving across the map. He does have force fields here, so we can section off these Stalkers on the left side. But again, Trigger, he is no slouch. Wow, look at
Great
that,
micro
actually.
by
Those
Nightmare. That
force
was really
fields.
good, man. Damn.
Wow.
That was so perfect.
Man, I was skeptical, but he did such a good job of isolating those 2 units.
Yeah.
And he even pulled back his injured Stalker. I wonder if this can snowball, because he's sending more units across the map. Now Trigger going to try and push forward. Nice force field of his own, really messing up the concave here of his opponent. Able to pick off that sentry. Doesn't quite get the retreating Stalker, but a little bit of tit for tat. He's going to feel better after losing those 2 Stalkers effectively for free earlier on. At least he got some more damage when Nightmare poked in again, but...
So, I mean, things quiet down a little bit. We've got the Robo Bay coming up here. You know what I feel like I actually don't get to cast a lot of? Is really long StarCraft 2 PvPs.
It doesn't happen much anymore.
I'll watch other tournaments or other streams, and it's like, they happen, man. They don't happen when I cast them. I feel like I've almost never had, like, you know, let's say 5 bases, 6 bases on each side. It just... Something in the universe is stopping that from happening when I cast, but maybe this will be the one.
I think it's just a very snowbally matchup.
I think you're
especially
right.
with Blink Stalker versus Blink Stalker, because you can just pounce on the opponent's army if you get that advantage. It usually swings one way or the other quite quickly.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Same thing with StarCraft 1. It's very hard. You just don't see a lot of late game PvPs. It's like somebody wins in a pretty pronounced fashion before it's like, you know, we're at the crazy parts of the game. All right, nice blinking here from Trigger. A little force field coming down here to punish any overextensions, although I don't know if we have an overextension just yet.
Just messing up the concave a little bit for Nightmare. Like 2 or 3 of his stalkers, because of those force fields, are constantly out of the fight. So even though there aren't really units falling on both sides, the damage being dealt, the hit point damage being done by Trigger is just a little bit greater than Nightmare. I mean, these are the small kind of interactions that, in a mirror matchup PvP, where you're basically both just making Blink Stalkers in the early game as you secure the third and eventually work your way up to Charge, up to more Immortals, potentially even into Archons later on. It's all about these little tiny finesse movements. It's a very technical matchup in that regard. And in terms of development, it's even more mirrored than it was in game number 1. The 4 gateways coming in at effectively the same time, looking at charge in +1 weapons. I feel like Trigger just a touch ahead, might have a couple of a second window if he's able to keep pace with the chrono boosts. But effectively mirrored. Worker count also effectively mirrored. It really is anybody's game.
Okay, big warp in here. Seems like Nightmare's eyeing the 4th base. So he's going to be moving down there. Right now, Trigger's getting his Warp Prism, and Zealot Charge is going to be finished. So I would not be surprised if there's going to be an attack inbound here. There's also a Warp Prism out here for Nightmare.
Yeah, they have.
And this is really where you can start to roam around the map, too, because now you can instantly warp in on the fly.
I think either of them would be very hard-pressed to actually make an attack happen unless they catch their opponent out of position. Hold that thought, actually, as Nightmare's going to pounce on this. Oh, he blinks forward. He gets the Warp Prism. Okay, Nightmare, he's got the Zealots there on the right side. Focus Fire coming in from Trigger is a little bit better on the Stalkers, but the Zealot count here for Nightmare is very high. That Meat Shield is so strong here on the front line. More Zealots being warped in there from Trigger. But the Stalker count here for Nightmare being as low as it was, the fact that Trigger was able to get that edge in the early game fight means that Trigger could Focus Fire down Nightmare's units so much more effectively than Nightmare can. And it's already starting to snowball. The initial engagement looked so much better for Nightmare there, but just the Stalker count reigning supreme here for Trigger. He has so much more flexibility with how he can micro his army, and now he's laying pressure here to the 4th base.
Yeah, I mean, Trigger's looking pretty good. These 2 Archons are going to be a really nice addition. They're going to melt those Zealots as they come in. And I think Trigger, he's just trying to tee up a nice attack. He doesn't want to get sloppy.
I think this is really smart from Trigger, too. He's just waiting until that Warp Prism comes back. He's like, you know what? I won that fight. I have my edge.
Yeah.
How do I lose this game? Potentially overextending.
Right.
Let's not do that.
So
let's wait until we have the Warp Prism, and let's go in again.
All right, now's the time. You can see Nightmare's going to pull back here, maybe get better pairings against the Zealots with the Archons, but it's not enough. More warp ins. The probes are pulled, but maybe a little bit too late. The Archon's still in the front doing a ton of damage. More Zealots to warp in to sponge up that extra damage.
I mean, the Archons there from Nightmare did work with a shield battery, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, Tasteless. I think Trigger's going to win this one 2-0 and go on to the final match of Group B. It is GSL debut. Trigger's going to take his very first series here. Wow, what an excellent PvP. Trigger versus Rogue coming up.
I didn't think Trigger was going to be that decisive in his victory against Nightmare. That's really impressive. Trigger showing a lot of promise.
PvP is his matchup, man. He is so smart in these scrappy fights.
Yeah.
He just finds edges in ways that they kind of remind me of another Canadian product from a long time ago.
Yeah.
You have these fights with basically mirrored armies. It's like, wait, somehow you're just better. He has this intuitive understanding of how these units interact, how to get the most value, and I love to see it, because if Nerves had gotten to Trigger, maybe he doesn't win those fights, but he has just been so calm, so collected. It's exciting to see him win his first series. When we come back after this break, Rogue versus Trigger in the final match of Group B. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Look at what you made me do. Falling deep in love with you. What was I supposed to do? Look at the way you move. Tell me I can't feel this way. I've only known you for a day. What was I supposed to say? Look at the way you move. Look at what you made me do. Falling deep in love with you. What was I supposed to do? Look at the way you move. Look at the way you move. I know you will say it's not your fault. You can't help it. You're just beautiful. Right here, everything is fine. Blue sky, good vibes, and all the things that will make you smile. Everybody need a break sometimes. Wind blows, time's up. Turn the music up and enjoy the ride. I think I had a little too much. But it feels so good, but it feels so good. All you need is your drink and the sun. And nobody cares, we're just having fun. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh, turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh, everybody's moving, everybody's here. One drink, one dance, we'll be grooving till the sun comes up. Here it's all about having fun, fresh air, sweet vibes. Turn the music up and enjoy the ride. I think I had a little too much. But it feels so good, but it feels so good. All you need is your drink and the sun. And nobody cares, we're just having fun. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh, turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh, turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, everybody's moving. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh, turn it up, everybody's
It's time I warn ya, so you don't act a fool. I'm too much woman for ya, and I like to break the rules. You tell me I play too loud, I tell you I'ma turn you out. You tell me no, turn it down. I'm gonna get turned up. I got to do what I do what I do. I got to do what I do what I do. Maybe my bed's too flashy. Maybe my mouth's too trashy. My Gucci's got too much cash in it. That's the way I play. Woo. Yeah.
young, and I ain't getting any younger. My time has begun. The storm is coming, I'm causing thunder. I'm on the hunt. I'm making moves to feed my hunger. Hear the rumble, no muffler. I'm the ultimate hustler. Make it happen. Get it crackin'. Locked and loaded. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Make it happen. Get it crackin'. Locked and loaded. 3, 2, 1. It's go time. Let's go. It's go time. Let's go. I'm coming alive. I'm coming out tonight. Come on. It's go time. Gun in my holster, blasting the boulders. Nothing is in my way. Weight on my shoulder, but I'm a soldier. I can do this all day. Make it happen. Get it crackin'. Locked and loaded. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Make it happen. Get it crackin'. Locked and loaded. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. It's go time. Let's go. I'm going higher until I get to the top. I'm a beast and I'm fueled like a rocket. I'ma take off, I'm a comet. I will never come down, I am not stopping. I'm about to make it happen. I'ma keep it up and I'ma get it crackin'. I go with the heat cause I'm locked and loaded. Let's get it. 3, 2, 1. It's go time. Let's go. It's go time, baby. Let's go. It's go time. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. It's down to the final match. Trigger, really, I'm glad he got to shine here versus Nightmare because, you know, when you go up against Maru, it's like Maru might literally beat all other 11 players in the, you know, if he had faced them at this phase of the tournament. So, like, you don't really get an idea of where Trigger's at. You know, I know, you know, some people, they follow every StarCraft 2 tournament. Others, you know, they just follow the top ones. Others just follow GSL. So there are viewers out there that just don't know a lot about Trigger. I'm glad he went to go up against Nightmare and was able to show what he's got, show who he is, what he's got to offer. But now he's going back up against one of the other greatest players of all time.
Some people would say the greatest.
There are even casters out there who have said he is the GOAT. Not Cyril, not Maru.
Yeah. Not Nesty.
Not Nesty.
Not MVP.
Not MVP.
I mean, Rogue is one of the greatest of all time. There is no doubt about that. And he actually looked very good. Even the games against Maru, like game 1, he was just on the precipice of winning, couldn't close it out. Game number 2 caught a little bit off guard maybe by the 8 racks for Maru, but still looking to be in good form. And so for Trigger now, final match of Group B. Can he be a legend of the game and advance to the round of 8? Let's get this series started.
Okay, Rogue in the bottom, Trigger in the top.
Another PVZ for us here today. This probe is going to be coming down to do a hatchery block. And, you know, let's see what Trigger's got here in this matchup. I think that was a big confidence boost, the fact that he was able to take out Nightmare in that last game. He's clearly got very good PvP. By the way, a pretty nuanced PvP. It wasn't one where it's like, oh, he did this build and that loses to this or beats that. It was really like a lot of really smart decisions and good micro.
Oh, actually, Trigger and Rogue have played an online tournament before, and Trigger won 2-0.
Oh, really?
I wasn't aware of that.
You know, whenever there's a new player, in general, and I don't just cast GSL. Obviously, I've done other stuff overseas. But when it's like sometimes I'll get to a big international tournament. I'm like, well, I've seen this guy, but I actually personally haven't casted him yet. And he's against somebody that I'm really used to casting. I have a hard time trying to map where they're at in my head when I cast, right? Like, but yeah, that's interesting. He's already beaten Rogue before. Let's see what he does now. Right now, he's using the probe here to basically make the drones bounce to other minerals. Yeah. Slow him down just slightly.
I'm telling you, I always get shades of Huck watching Trigger. Like young Huck with just the little micro tricks. The control that he does. He's got that zest about him. I don't know what it is about Canadian Protoss players and doing all these funky tactics, but
Canada's actually had like it's funny, it's a really long history of really good Protoss players.
Really good RTS players in general, too.
Yeah, in general.
Scarlet's also just
But I mean, all the way back to the early days, XDS Gur was Canadian.
True.
Kiwi Kaki.
Oh, yeah. How could I
a lot of them French-Canadian, too, interestingly. Like, I feel like there were more French-Canadian top players than even just like regular Canadian. I'm like, it's like Coke. It's like Coke and Diet Coke over here. As I'm saying this, I realize this doesn't sound intelligent at all. But I guess not French Canadian players. Like, there's only been a couple regions in the world outside of Korea that aren't massive, like China. Like, you can always go, oh, there's great players in China. You go, yeah, there's a lot of people in China, right?
Right.
But like, there's a couple regions in the world where you do see exceptional players. Like, one is Poland. I've always been stunned by how many good. There's just a lot of good Polish players all the way back into StarCraft 1. You could look up the brackets for like Net Cafe tournaments, and there were like so many good people that would sign up. Eastern Canada as well. Like a lot of good RTS players coming out of there. Actually, what part of Canada is Trigger from?
I don't know exactly.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Taste. Oh, look at it. We're using the healing zone. It's happening.
We're going
for the first time in GSL history.
Yes. The maps are getting better.
I love how he healed it like 2 ticks and then didn't
he's like, I gotta stay active. I gotta get value.
Yeah, that is cool. I don't know exactly how many maps in the current pool have the healing zone in it, but I just love these features getting added. I actually didn't realize that Persephone had a healing zone for a long time because I was like playing this game on the ladder, and I was just like all-inning everybody, and I was like, wait, actually, if I want to learn the map, this probably isn't what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But
I think that healing zone, by the way, is going to play a huge role in TVZ, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you're pushing, and you can just like stim and fight and then just go back and heal.
Hold that thought, Aceless. Oh, no. As soon as they leave the wall.
Perfect surround on the Adept.
If only Trigger had a Spore Crawler, this wouldn't have happened.
Spore Door also runs into your own base.
Oh. This is like a heart-sinking moment here for Trigger. It just feels so bad.
We were talking about like the 2 Adepts to get in your main and kill all your probes. Like, this is another thing that can happen where it's like, oh, it's just bad. Lings being in your base, running around killing workers is a painful StarCraft experience as old as the game, as old as the franchise itself.
I mean, the really sad thing about that, too, is that Trigger had the Adept that was going to finish the wall in again, like moving from the main base ramp to the natural expansion.
Yeah.
But Rogue, just with that Overlord's like, well, no, I see you moving. I know I have at least 1 or 2 seconds I can get in there. That's painful. I feel for Trigger a little bit. Now, luckily, this Shade is going to pop, so these Adepts, even though they get surrounded, aren't going to take too much damage. We'll be able to retreat back. But anytime. Oh, no, not again. All right, we're safe. We're safe. I always get a little bit nervous when I see cybernetics cores and gateways in the Wallen like that. If we get another shot of Trigger's natural expansion, those Wallens always really stress me out because even though they're both 3x3 structures, the gateway and the cybernetics core, the hitbox on the cybernetics core is a little bit smaller. And I find usually it's those wall-ins with the Cyber Core as the gateway, or the Cyber Core is the entrance to the base.
Yeah.
Where like the Lings can barely shimmy past the Adept or the Zealot. Like that's where all the really bad shenanigans happen.
Oh God.
Oh no.
This could be one of these games where it's like just really good harassed by Rogue.
Yeah, look, exactly like this. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The Stalker, if that was a gateway instead of Cyber Export, they probably do not get in.
Yeah.
It always stresses me out.
Oh man. I mean, that's 3 more probe kills and Stalkers picked off.
I mean, like, that's been on hold position, that Stalker. It looks like it's a defined spot, but just the hitbox is, like you said, they're slippery, like the Hellions trying to get past Rogue before, and he had that body block with the Queens.
No,
it's the same
weird
thing here.
Specifically with the StarCraft 2 engine, and I'm probably not going to be able to articulate this well, but I can try. It's like, it seems like it won't fit in, but like somehow it'll like vibrate through it.
A little bit,
You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I feel like
you see
actually
like a force field that like shuts and it's like nothing can get through, and then you see like Zerglings start to like wiggle around and they go like, and they just fit through.
I'm dating myself a little bit with this, but I vaguely remember, and I could just be wrong, I could just be imagining this, but I vaguely remember there being an issue before where if there was like a Zealot or an Adept in the wall-in, if you use like the rapid fire move command for the Zerglings basically right on the Adept or Zealot, it would push it. And I feel like that got patched out, but yeah, there is like a little bit of shakiness in terms of movement just because honestly the engine is so smooth and so streamlined, it's almost like everything is buttery, you know?
Yeah, everything's very oily like in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it feels fine to control, but it's specifically when the units are like in contact with each other. It's so different from an RTS like Warcraft 3, for instance, another historic StarCraft 2 RTS where, hold on,
God, here we go.
So many
3 of Link surrounds.
No, this is like 1 Stalker and like 2 Adepts are going to survive that. This is so painful.
You know, the funny thing is, like, most games we're kind of talking about, like, what ideas are at play here, but this is just, like, Rogue with great guerrilla tactics, trapping Trigger, or getting good run-bys.
He just keeps doing these judo moves with these Lings.
Yeah.
It basically all goes...
judo?
Yeah, basically
it's
all
like a
goes
mix
back.
between judo and voodoo. It's judo.
Yeah, what am I talking about? But,
another judo move in here.
Another judo move.
He's got a black belt in judo.
Yeah, he's got a little doll. He's putting needles in it right now. I didn't even realize I misspoke there for a second. Good catch. But there are Phoenix as a response here to the mutas, but there's been so much momentum built by Rogue with the Lings and then the mutas now coming in. Like 20 probes have fallen. This is... I mean, the game has just been kind of running away from Trigger for a long time here. He's doing a much better job than most Protoss players would be at stabilizing in this kind of situation, but 82 drones, 22 SCVs just fell, so Rogue's hit 50 workers. Magic Box even coming in on one of those Archons. Lings almost got that second Archon below ground too. Oh.
Now the Oracles are going to go down. This game has been kind of a train wreck, to be honest.
It all goes back to that first
Yeah.
with the Lings getting into the main
It was when he got judo flipped.
Yeah.
GG.
All
right.
That's painful because we just saw Trigger play so well against Nightmare. I mean, his ceiling is so far above this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Rogue just kind of got to run away with that game.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just... I'm sure we've all been in games where we're playing and it's like, oh, I just ran into your like medevac, you just killed 2 medevac. You know what I mean? Oh, there's a unit out here, I'll kill this. Okay, like I don't know what's going on, but as long as I'm active.
This was like me in every game versus No Regret for a couple of years. Where like, this guy like never goes layer, he just has Lings and Banelings and somehow he finds the opening. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. I'm like, I think I'm not allowed to leave my base against this player. I've definitely had that. Like anytime I get on the map, like, oh, he killed me again. Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna go to Pylon.
Well, that is a Protoss map, right? So
that
should have the advantage.
This whole map will power Trigger's base.
Can you imagine? The entire thing's just like a fast warping field.
Yeah. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids of StarCraft. It's just, you know, units running around on a giant pylon.
Yeah. I'm a little bit sad so far, by the way, these first 2 groups. We haven't gotten to see a lot of the maps of this map pool. It's been kind of the same 4 or 5 maps getting rotated through all these best of 3s. Seen Persephone a lot, seen Pylon or not, Maganatha. All right, guys, Rogue versus Trigger. Rogue up 1-0 in this best of 3. If he wins, he goes on to the round of 8. Trigger fighting for his GSL life right now. Can he tie it up here on Pylon?
All right. Rogue in the bottom right, Trigger in the top left. I hope we have a cleaner game from Trigger. That really, there's not a whole lot else to say, but that like he just kept getting blindsided by attacks, and you know that happens enough. It doesn't really matter what your what your game understanding is, or you know what the tech tree you're trying to build into is. It's like, well, you're just going to be killed.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that for a Protoss player, especially at Trigger's level, that doesn't happen very often, right? When you're practicing maybe 90-95% of your games, you're never going to have 6-8 lings get in your main base and completely just
we missed you
kneecap your build.
too. Hands from Russia, excellent.
A long way coming over. Welcome, welcome. But to get back to that, in a high-stakes environment like GSL, like Trigger literally 2 maps away from round of 8. This is huge. Like he said that he's been dreaming about competing in GSL. Finally, he's here. He's qualified. He's living in Korea. He is so close to that round of 8, going up against a legend in Rogue. And you want your build to be exactly as practiced, but as soon as those 6-8 lings get in your main base, even though it seems like it's a relatively small thing, like, yeah, you're losing probe time, you're losing a couple workers, but it shouldn't decide the game, right? But suddenly, all of that practice, it goes a little bit out of the window, because now your tech transition is 5 or 6 seconds late. If you're using your supply as, like, the benchmark, the yardstick for when you want to do X, Y, or Z in your build order, now it's off a little bit. It adds a lot of almost like static to the TV in terms of what you want to do, and it makes everything feel really fuzzy. And that often leads to situations where suddenly you need to think more.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound unnatural. Like, of course, you're playing an RTS. This is one of the most complicated strategy games of all time. You need to think all the time, but these builds have been reiterated on so much. There's been so much practice that for the majority of the game, especially in the early game, it's almost instinct.
Yeah.
It is not deep thought besides like maybe the build order plan. The actual execution is instinct, but when you get thrown off like that, you have to go back to, wait, okay, how do I get back to the game plan originally? And then suddenly you have a lapse in judgment, Morlings get in your base, you're getting Stalkers in the depths surrounded because you're a little bit frayed in your thought process, and it snowballs so quickly. I mean, the mental aspect of Rogue getting 6 or 8 lings in your base.
Getting lings in your base, it's like maybe
traumatic.
one of the worst feelings ever. Like when I'm in an important match and lings get in my base, and I'm like,
it's the kind of thing
it's so annoying.
It's the kind of thing that as a Protoss player you will have nightmares about.
Well, the thing is, because you know you're just never. It's like people go, "What happens when they put lings in my base?" I'm like, never let that happen.
Yeah, you just don't.
The answer is never ever be in a position. So when they get in there, you go, "Oh God." Now I have to just try my best to micro and do my build right, and you know,
it just makes everything so much harder to execute. And it's such a small thing, but it has such a big impact, and especially again in an environment like Trigger competing here. By the way, energy recharge on the Oracle, 154 energy tasteless.
Let's go!
I love that so much. I wish we were seeing a little bit more of this so far in GSL, but I guess at the pro level, it's still
I think
the
they've
use cases.
Yeah, they've got their habits. This,
more links coming around the map. The second Oracle isn't done just yet, so this is definitely going to have to sacrifice itself to allow that Nexus to build up enough HP that it will not get denied, but that means that...
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, this time it should be all right. We do have the Oracle coming in here. We're not going to lose that much mining time. I would be surprised if Trigger even lost a probe to this. So, we might lose that one.
What about that one, State?
It's all right.
Apology accepted. 14 more lings are being made, by the way.
Please.
No!
It's all right.
Man.
It's all right. We're going to be okay. Positive mindset.
Is that double forge? No, that's one forge. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Forge Twilight.
Oh
my goodness.
my
I did not
God.
even notice this. 3 queens walking across the map. We're on 35 drones right now for Rogue. He's been pumping lings this entire time. And those Oracles, yeah, you did have energy recharge, but they're still pretty low on energy after that. 3 queens do beat 2 Oracles. Oh no, what a disaster here for Trigger. 3 ups in total on the map. We do have 2 gateways, so more orphans can come in, but because that probe got sniped, didn't even have an opportunity to throw down a shield battery here at this 3rd base. And 22 more lings in production, and with only 2 Oracles, again, he cannot contest these queens on the ground. The 3rd base, I think, is basically just forfeit.
I mean, is this game going to go on much longer? I don't know. I don't feel like it.
I think it will, but Trigger is now playing from behind. He needs to find something, and this is a good opportunity. There's only one queen. The Spore Crawler is not done yet. How much damage can he get done? A lot of drones going down already. Keep in mind, Rogue was already on a pretty low worker count. Trigger even sacrificing one of these oracles just to try and stop him bleeding a little bit economically. He does have the worker lead.
I never appreciated the range advantage the Queens have on Adepts until this moment.
Yeah, Queens are busted.
Yeah, they're pretty good units.
I've been thinking these are busted since Benicio was my teammate in like 2012. Oh no! Rogue behind all of this, equalizing right now in the worker counts. For Trigger, this is almost a situation where, like, do you kill your own gateway to try and get a better arc over here? And these queens eventually are going to fall, but the third base is so delayed here for Trigger. Rogue, he lost drones, but he didn't lose a hatchery, so he's able to just do a couple of rounds of worker units, and look at that, he's already made up a ton of ground. 53 drones to 50 workers, the saturation's gonna be better, and he's teched up into Hydras. And he knows exactly what's going on here for Trigger. Blink not done just yet, so these things can get us around. At least a couple of these Stalkers are gonna go down. Oh, Blink, man, if it was 3 seconds faster, I don't think Trigger loses a single Stalker there.
It's like literally perfectly timed out. 16 Whirlings coming right now, and Hydra's on the way. And, you know, the game is fairly simple from the perspective of Rogue. What he wants to do is just wait for this Nexus to be close to finishing, or maybe it finishes, and he just goes in and smashes it again.
Right.
When you can keep your opponent oppressed as far as bases, you don't really have to do a whole lot more. You kill it. You don't have to try to overextend and end the game. You just go, all right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to expand more. I'm going to get more upgrades, and I'm going to come in with another big blow.
Yeah, what makes it even more painful here for Trigger is that usually when you play this Blink Stalker heavy style that Hero popularized a long time ago when he basically revolutionized the PvZ matchup. Hold that thought. This is really nice micro hit from Trigger. He's getting so much value. Stalker's now done. Oh, big lead back. Now the link count is thin enough that Trigger should be able to retreat with a lot of these Stalkers. And his control with Blink Stalkers is so good, honestly.
Yeah, he's got really nasty control, but okay, yeah, he's going to push him back.
I think Rogue is surprised at how good his Blink
I think
Stalker
Rogue thought he was
control
going to force win there, and it's like, ooh, actually, this guy's pretty
wow.
good.
I mean, that was... Trigger is basically bringing water from a stone. This is just incredible.
Yeah.
Because usually in a situation like this one, when you play this hero style, you kind of need the Oracles to try and anchor the Stalkers to help deal with the Lings, but somehow Trigger is just finding these trades. You know, Hydra Ling on paper, very good in a Blink Stalkers, but Trigger has just the right amount, and he's hitting at just the right moment, where Rogue doesn't have the critical mass that he needs to, say, get us around with the Lings.
Right.
And mess up the attack AI on the Stalkers, or have enough Hydras to really dish out the damage and punish those Stalkers. And I mean, look at the units lost. It has been brutal for Trigger, but that was like 130 units lost, mostly Lings there for Rogue to the 32 of Trigger. And behind all of that, Rogue couldn't make a drone. The Stalkers were pushing him. Trigger has a worker lead again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, do not write this kid off. His control is so good.
Now, the problem when you fight Hydras with Stalkers is there's not a whole lot you can kind of do. You know, they're much better versus melee units, but the Stalkers got a lot of damage output.
Yeah, there isn't really a lot to support the Hydras here for Rogue. It's just pure Hydralisk, and the Stalkers don't do that bad against them.
You can see there's been a creep highway that's been paved halfway across the map.
Trigger has almost brought this one back.
Yeah, no, it's
so
pretty
impressed.
crazy. It's super impressive.
Army values effectively equal. Trigger ahead in workers, and Rogue is still not droning. He's making more Hydras. Trigger, if he can get up to Storm, the first Templar is already on the field. Storm is starting to research. More drones are being produced now, but for Rogue, trying to go into Lurker Tech, yes, he is on 6 gases at this point, but on 58 drones, it's going to take, I feel like, a couple more rounds of workers to really have the economy to sustain a Lurker count that is substantial against the army that Trigger has. If this is Trigger, if Trigger can perform this well, given how bad the early game went for him, I am worried for Rogue if Trigger can somehow equalize this, because This is some impressive BBZ.
This is great.
So much of it comes down just the pure blink stalker control.
I mean, Trigger might have some of the best micro in StarCraft 2 right now.
Yes.
Like, he looks so good.
His blink stalker control especially.
Yeah, specifically that. Well, he's going to try to do a shove in here with the lurkers. Nice storm.
A lot of damage.
Yeah.
On creep, too.
And, you know, as this is going on, Trigger's just expanding adjacent to this position. So, I mean, Rogue's not stopping anything with what's happening right now.
Yeah, these lurkers, by the way, they do not have the range upgrade.
Yeah.
Air Tech lurkers and Hive Tech lurkers with the full upgrades, two totally different beasts. There is an opportunity here for Trigger to get something done against that army. Oh, another money storm. A lot of Hydras going down. Yeah, Rogue, he's only on what, like 70 drones at this point? The Hive Tech is about halfway done. So Lurker range is a long ways away. Trigger already starting the second Stargate, I believe, as well as the fleet being. I think we got a glimpse of that there on the production tab for a moment. Perhaps already done.
I mean, Trigger's kind of persevering through this.
It is
looking
wow,
really good. Whoa,
look at
whoa,
that!
whoa, whoa, nicely
Man,
done.
the instinct from Trigger. He sees the unburrow there from the Lurker. He immediately blinks on top. He's like, you know what, I can take this one free. He's just getting maximum value in all these. Oh, going for the surround. 2 storms right now on this army. Only 1 left now. Trigger trying to get multiple angles over here. Mothership in production.
I don't really get what the plan is here with Rogue.
I think that he thought he was so far ahead,
Yeah.
he could just kill him. And
Yeah,
he sat
maybe
on,
you're
what,
right.
like 56 drones or something like that for a long time. And then the Blink Stalker is just got so much value. And again, there's still no range on these Lurkers.
Yeah.
Trigger can do these moves. He can click the Lurkers with the Observer Vision. He could check the range, be like, you know what, you still don't have it. I'm going to blink over here. I'm going to pick off 2 more Lurkers. These are very expensive Zerg units. I am so impressed with how well he has been able to come back in this game. It is not over by any means. Trigger trying to find another angle. Finally, Lurker range is done, and that changes the math a little bit here. Suddenly, Trigger now on the ground is going to have a much harder time taking favorable engagements against Rogue.
Nice warp in there, trapping those Lings in, getting the kills. Almost maxing out on both sides.
5 more Lurkers in production. How many Lurkers
So
is
does
this
he
on
just,
the
does he just
field?
want to like basically lock him out of part of the map? This is actually an old StarCraft 1 strategy, by the way.
This is so many Lurkers.
This is so the idea from the very this was like year 2 or 3 of StarCraft 1, but basically you'd like Lurker contain them, and it's just impossible to get across. And now we have it very rarely in ASL, but we will have games where they just turtle with Lurkers. And it seems almost like he wants to just cut off the map. It's like if you're going to come through here, you have to hack and saw your way through so much damage. Big attack coming up here on this base, by the way. I don't know if Rogue is too late on attacking this expansion. I guess we're going to see in a sec.
The Lurkers are just in range of that Nexus, and the SimCity actually makes it very hard here for Trigger to find the right angle. There aren't a lot of support units for the Lurkers, but I don't even know if he needs them right now. I mean, there's 20 Lurkers. Wait, 17 right here.
Oh my God,
okay, Trigger's coming in. No meat shield. Actually, the Zealots pulling a lot of the aggro there from the Lurkers on the left side. They retarget onto the Immortals. 3 Immortals die in 1 volley. If Rogue hadn't re-microed those Lurkers and retargeted them, I think Trigger might have been able to eject him from this position. Instead, it's a relatively even trade. Trigger trying to do what feels like almost impossible with a mostly gateway army. Push Hive Tech Lurkers back. Only 1 Tempester to whittle away at the Zerg Force. The Hydra's microing forward, barely not getting that Mothership. They get it! Right at the edge of the range. And this base, I think it's going down, Tasteless.
I love what Rogue's showing us here. This is so fresh.
It is such a Lurker-heavy style.
Yeah, he just sort of gets a position, and then he, it's basically like a TVZ push. Lurkers are the tanks, and then and he gets such a number that like the damage spread when you walk in, it's like it just obliterates everything. And then the Hydras are kind of like Marines, weirdly.
Is Rogue the best Terran player?
I think he is, man.
But no, it almost felt like he was flying a little bit too close to the... Oh, we got the the speed boost coming in from the Hydras. Very rare we see that tech come in.
Yeah.
One of those new abilities. Rogue just trying to get every value he can. Man, they are speedy when they lunge. That was like a jump scare, man. I was not expecting that.
yeah.
Well, Trigger, he hasn't been able to re-expand to the 12 o'clock position. He has been effectively reset to what is almost a one base economy. About 800 minerals per minute because the natural expansion effectively mined out. The main base is mined out. Rogue on 5 bases right now, really firing on all cylinders, and he's gonna come in again here. Really nice storms in that choke point.
Now this has always been a place that he's had a hard time pushing through, but I love the 2 lurkers on the side just to take out some probes. I don't even know if Trigger's noticed yet. Okay, he does. He pulls away.
The army supply is still very even, 115 to 86.
Yeah, very true.
And the bank for Rogue, there isn't too much yet. Oh, this is so scrappy. These probes just distance mining over here from the 12 o'clock base. Mothership being reproduced. Another lurker falls here. Oh, Trigger, if he can snipe this base with a high yield Vespian Geyser, that will be huge for him. He's going to come in. I think he should be able to take this hatchery out. Lurkers burrowing over there on the top right side. Trigger now, with the Tempest count that he has, he basically has an answer to lurkers. He can start trading effectively with them again, as long as he doesn't get caught out of position. We went from, I think, almost 20 lurkers earlier in the game, all the way down now to 18, and Rogue has basically no gas left. He's making 3 more lurkers. He's adding in 4 corruptors. Yes, he does have enough corruptors to take out all these Tempests if he gets on top of them, but there are so many Archons on the ground to assist that there is a world where Trigger is able to stabilize. I mean, the chip damage is starting to add up here on these lurkers.
It's going to be an uphill fight for sure, but yeah, I mean, the lurkers are getting a lot squishier.
That's a good engagement there from Trigger. 2 on the right side. Just basically pure Immortal Archon Templar.
This really does go to show you, like, lurker Hydra's strong, but it's kind of hard to force a game to at the end, right?
You need the Vipers.
Yeah, you need
the Abducts, I think. Oh, Time Warp coming in the lurkers. They're a lot weaker now. But he doesn't have the units on the ground.
Oh my God,
really
he's going to come in here from the side, though.
Archon's taking out a lot of these Corruptors. Some really good splash damage being dealt, but I feel like Rogue might have a little bit too much. Those lurkers in a impenetrable position here on the top side of the Nexus. Coming with us around is Trigger, but so much damage already being done. No detection. The Observer got sniped.
Yeah, and this Nexus is marooned over here. Now he can just send the lurkers here. Yeah, I think we're at the GG moment.
If Trigger had detection, maybe he would have been able to stabilize here in this fight. Finally now, 2 Observers have been remade.
GG, wow.
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 I mean, Rogue going to advance with some really impressive PvZ games, but for Trigger, given this is his GSL debut, his first time on the GSL stage, he played so well, especially in that game number 2 against Rogue. It was a dismal early game. He was looking like he had the uphill battle of all uphill battles, and he almost brought it back. That was sheer control. He almost brought it back.
I'm really happy that we've got to see Trigger here and what he's got to offer. And don't forget, guys, GSL Season 2 is just around the corner when we finish this one, so he could very well be back in. Yeah.
We might be seeing him again in GSL Season 2, and I would personally love to see it.
Yeah.
It's no mystery why he qualified for GSL after seeing him play in games like that. All right, guys, we are going to have an interview with second place Rogue. Rogue, congratulations on your victory. In the winner's match, you lost against Maru. And then you were able to come back against Protoss. How do you feel about your performance today? Well, coming into today, I kind of thought that today might be pretty easy. And I was even expecting to potentially come out of this group in first place, but Maru actually was very strong today, so. Well, what happened? What went wrong, do you think, in your first match against Maru? Well, the game basically felt like it was going to plan. So I felt like it was a must-win scenario because things were going to plan. Actually, I actually missed the second part. Apparently, things eventually got derailed. Well, your performance here against Protoss was actually very good, Rogue. Now, later on, you might be playing against either Hero or Classic in the round of 8. How are you feeling against those players? Well, you know, in practice, I honestly feel like I cannot beat Hero. So if I want to advance to the quarterfinals and if I'm in the same group as Hero, I feel like I might have to be gunning for second place. Well, you know, Rogue, we did have a very long off season. There's some questions about the form of all of your players. How is your condition currently? Well, you know, I've been practicing really hard for this GSL, and I think if I can keep up this practice, I will be able to get back to full form in no time. And now some words from Rogue saying, you know, he's very happy to move on into the round of 8, and he's got his eyes set on advancing into the quarterfinals. And he's going to try and do even better next time, Tasteless.
Damn, he even said Tasteless in the end like that?
He did.
That's pretty cool.
He called you out,
He called
man.
me out.
I gotta say, after not doing GSL for like almost a year, it is really hard to do these interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. I actually forgot. I totally blanked on this aspect of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Maru and Rogue, in my opinion, certainly the favorites to advance in this group. They do advance in Group B, but we did have some really good showings. I feel like Nightmare didn't play up to his performance. We've seen better games from him in the past, but Trigger really impressing with his win versus Nightmare, and even in his matches against Rogue there, looked very good in PBZ. And he got derailed quite early on in both of those sets, and he still made Rogue work for it in map number 2. So I feel like, although it's not a surprise, we had some really good games, especially Maru versus Rogue. I think it was, what, Game 1 or Game 2? It was like one of the best TVZs we have seen in a while.
Yeah, that was a really nice one. So we've got our groups. Group A, Byun, Rogue, Cure, and Hero. That's going to be next week on Wednesday. Same time, same place. And then Group B, Classic, Rainer, Maru, and Gumiho.
Which one of these do you think is stronger? Because these both look like very dangerous groups,
I actually almost feel like they're pretty even.
Yeah.
Maybe Group B is a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way.
But, I mean...
It's hard to say because we haven't seen some players from the GSL qualifiers directly seeded into the round of 8, because after the initial qualifier for GSL, there was a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. Decide who goes to the round of 12, who goes to the round of 8. So we actually don't know, you know, how good Hero is right now or how good Byun is right now. They're in round of 8 for certainly a reason, but we haven't seen them against Rogue, against Cure, against Maru, against these heavy hitters that we did in the round of 12. So it's tough to say, but I think I'm right there with you. Group B, especially with Rainer now finally advancing to the round of 8.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know, man. I'm just in a great mood. I'm so happy to be back here. We missed you guys. GSL will be wrapping next week, by the way. We're going to do those 2 groups. Then it's round of 4 in the finals on Friday.
Yeah.
So
it's a big part of the road to EWC. And
yeah.
EWC
we didn't have a lot of time.
It's right around the corner.
Right around the corner, yeah. So, yeah. Great day of games here. Too bad Trigger couldn't get further, but look, Season 2 is like right after we finish Season 1. So maybe he qualifies there, and we're right back to it. At the bottom of the screen is the ticket information, everybody. Buy the tickets. It seems like we didn't fill out today, but the closer we get to the finals, and the finals always sell out, by the way.
Yeah.
The finals, you cannot show up and just get in.
Yeah, tickets go on sale tomorrow. I think that said 4:30 p.m. KST, which is, I believe, exactly 19 hours from now. I don't want to do math on air, but get the tickets as soon as you can, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.